Stop by for the Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing peaches until the sun lights. Summer shoots her beam so bright. Master Hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast, episode 14. Don't worry, we do have a wild Andres restart supposedly joining us later, so we should have 5 people going. But you know what? We're going to rock with what we got. And I really want him to show up because it's really awkward for me right now. I'm like, hi, I got to lean in to make this all work. I might just go move my camera and just say screw it. But we're going to go ahead and just dive right in and introduce ourselves. Let's start with our guest this week, Nick with no K.
That's me. I'm here. I like talking about Nintendo, so I'm here. I vaguely glanced through the topic list, so I semi-prepared, but we're gonna roll with it. We'll see what happens.
You're semi-prepared. Okay. All right. Well, being semi-prepared is better than not being prepared at all. That's usually Andres' restart. He literally is never prepared ever. He glances at he's maybe glancing at it while the show is going on. All right, then we got Eric Moore. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
And then Thunderstash Gaming. Are you wearing that Game Boy shirt because of that video, the 35th anniversary video that was put out by Game Explain or something?
I saw the one that Nintendo put out.
Yeah. So it was wild when they put out that 35th thing because I sat there. I'm like, today isn't the 35th anniversary. I don't know what they're talking about. It happened in April and September.
I have an Excel sheet with like all the anniversary dates, like the big ones.
Yeah.
For this year, and, like for content, of course. And I know it's not today, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
it's 89. Yeah, like it's 89. We got that right, but.
Yeah, like we passed the Japanese release date, and we're not to the American release yet. So what are we doing?
Are we
in the middle?
Because I was gonna be like, hey, what's our top 5 Game Boy games today? I was gonna be a topic. Then I sat there, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna let Nintendo do this. They are not gonna mess up what the anniversary is. We will do it on the anniversary.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot too. I see this happen all the time. Do you see this happen? Where like some YouTube channel or social media will be like, oh, do you know today's the anniversary of this? I'm like, no, it's not. Where'd you get that date? I'll look it up just to make sure I'm not crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's not today.
Yeah, today it was Nintendo. And I'm like, what are we doing? Nintendo, you don't know your own anniversaries. So I just sat there and I was like, no, I refuse to give in to Nintendo getting their own day wrong. And here's what I figure. Nintendo ain't got nothing this week. They ain't got any news. So they figured, you know what? We're going to celebrate Game Boy this week because we ain't got anything else. And it's like, well, okay, fine. You could just drop some NSO games then. We don't have to pretend it's the 35th anniversary today. But
yeah, actually, I'm surprised. Usually the NSO games drop like right before the podcast.
It happens every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
I wonder if we'll get any.
Who knows? But anyways, so no, guys, today is not the 35th anniversary, despite what Nintendo had put out there. And then Game Explain went along with it. And I'm like, it's not true. But it's okay. If you guys want to know, it was like April something in Japan and sometime in September in the US. I'm not sure on Europe, but anyways, so Thunderstash, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm perplexed though.
Yeah, I'm very it did not make sense to me when I saw Nintendo put it. Then I saw Game Explain. I'm like, why is everyone doing this today?
I just Googled it. Okay.
Yeah.
It says it's today in North America,
but it's not.
Right. It's like someone went in and rewrote history.
This is wild.
Yeah, because I know it's not.
Rewriting Google. Guys, it happened in September. The Game Boy did not release July 31st. I'm telling you right now. The Game Boy did not release in North America on July 31st. I was alive back then.
Okay, so another website, just on the first page of Google, it's the Double Dragon Wiki for Game Boy.
Yeah.
And it says right here, April 21st, 1989.
Yeah, that's the Japanese one. Yep.
It says in North America.
No, everyone's getting it wrong. Nintendo,
I know.
stop confusing everyone.
Here we go. Hold on. It says first released April 21st, 1989.
Wait, no.
Okay.
And then in North America
There you
on July 31st,
Huh?
1989. And
You
then
would-
Europe in September of 1990. I don't
No,
Is this a Mandela effect?
maybe
Are you getting the EU
the
and
it's
NA mixed
Berenstein
up?
versus Berenstain right now. There's some messed up shit happening right now, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Wikipedia
Wikipedia agrees with Nintendo, but you know what? That's not a topic today. Sorry, everyone. Maybe it will be a topic. Technically, the fourth topic is dealer choice. So who the hell knows what happens? All right, whatever. I'm Nintendo Prime, guys. I'm dealing with the Mandela effect right now. I'm wrong all the time too, so that's okay. I don't know why I run this show. I don't know why anyone listens to me. I'm always wrong. Let's go ahead and hey, for a while Thunderstash was with me, and now even now Wikipedia is disagreeing with me. Dude, I'm telling you, I live in a different universe.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you. I'm gonna go off of what I know to be true, and I'm not buying what I'm seeing. I'm just not.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't.
But all right, it's life. I guess we can go ahead and get into our topic roulette. Obviously, whatever topic isn't chosen will be left over for Andres Restart whenever he shows up. So, Eric, why don't you go first today?
Topics. Well, the easiest one to do for me would be probably talking about the Mario and Sonic games. Get the plug pulled on them.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yay, Olympic Committee. Woo! IOC, you're the best.
Heck yeah.
That's going to be a good topic. I think we're going to have a lot of very positive opinions for that one. I'll go next here since I'm usually last. I'll just restart last today. So I will go with, I'll go with the more complex one. Well, maybe because if that gets left for Andres, he'll do good with that one. You know what? I'm going to go with the Game Freak is hosting a mega hiring event because they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be an exciting one. A Pokemon topic. Mostly Pokemon. They do make other games. All right, Thunderstash. What are you grabbing?
I'm gonna take dealer's choice.
Oh, you love the dealer's choice. I love it.
Do.
Good. And the thing is, I know Andres will do really good with the last time. He won't even need to look at anything up. He's got it all memorized. All right. The last topic, for those that don't know, is our headline topic of the show, saving the best for last. So you guys will enjoy that one. All right, Eric, let's get to yours, buddy. What do we got?
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Wow. Swallowed wrong. According to an article by Eurogamer, the IOC did not renew the contract after the 2020 Olympics for Mario and Sonic games, the Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games, because they wanted to pursue more esports and NFTs, bringing things internal to produce more revenue for the IOC. Of note, there is an Olympic video game this year called Olympics Go on smartphones, and yes, the game is directly tied to NFTs.
Yeah. I know. As soon as I didn't believe the NFT thing, I went to the actual website for the game. But sure as shit, it's an NFT game, which means I'm never installing that bullshit on my phone. So I couldn't even tell you if the game is good. By the way, you can play it on PC as well, because of course you can, with the same touch controls that you have to tap on a screen. So it's not really built for PC. It's a phone game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they decided to go that route instead of renewing Mario and Sonic. And my big question is not only, well, okay, I have a few things. One, that is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You're going to make more money? Dude, no one even knew about this Olympic game. The only reason people are hearing about the Olympic game is because we're talking about the one we wanted instead.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with there. But besides that, why did it have to be one or the other? Why can't we just have both?
Because nobody would.
They have
play
nothing
theirs.
to do with each other.
Because nobody would play theirs.
But no,
that's probably the accurate reason.
Here, I'm gonna go look at how many like downloads or like or reviews it has. I'm gonna have to look it up right now.
I'm just sad because if we got an Olympic game this year, we could have got breakdancing in there. We could have had Mario and Sonic doing breakdancing.
That's an event?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this year it is. Yes.
I think it's just
What?
called Break or something. It's got a weird name, but it is in there.
Oh my god, that's wild.
I don't know if this one's new, but there's sharpshooting, and I'm just sad because the US did not get a medal in that, which I think I've
It's
never been more disappointed as an American.
completely
But
ironic.
could have had Mario and Sonic doing sharpshooting.
That would be fun.
Yep.
Interesting.
There's 622 reviews on the Apple App Store for this game.
What's the average
It
rating?
is at 4.8 stars.
No.
It is number 46 on the sports chart right now in 5 different languages. Feel like there should be a lot more languages for a game that's about the Olympics. Probably
Yeah.
every country that's in the Olympics language should probably be represented. Just saying. But I was just glancing at the reviews. It's a lot of kids playing the game.
100,000 plus.
Oh, great.
100,000
Bunch of kids playing with NFTs.
Yeah, a bunch of kids playing with NFT tokens. That sounds like a smart idea.
Oh my god, this is like 2K. My
So
casino, man.
amazing game. Only thing I would do is add more track and field events. Fencing is absolutely terrible. This is the worst game ever. Golf is a piece of shit.
Jesus.
And then you got your 5 stars. It's great for the young kids. I'm like, okay, cool. So you made a game that only real little kids are playing that involve NFTs that are supposed to be about making you money. So you're encouraging kids to grab their parents' credit cards. Awesome.
That's
I'm
how it
glad.
always goes.
Horrible, dude.
And
It's horrible.
we couldn't have Mario and Sonic with this game still existing.
Right.
The Olympics don't know anything about making video games. Come on.
Yeah, I don't-
Right.
Who's in charge of this? Like, who's signing these deals?
The International Olympic Committee.
That's
Yeah.
horse shit, dude. You know it is.
It's bad enough that like they didn't renew the contract. It's just what they replaced it
Right.
with.
Right.
And here's the thing: this game ain't on Switch, so you literally are just giving up the entire Nintendo audience for no reason. Like I could understand if the reasoning was we don't want to be tied to one system, right? We want to be a game that's going to be on all platforms. So fine, that I could get. Because then maybe you got to drop the Mario aspect for that, but that's not the reason at all. The reason is because they want to focus on esports. Which, by the way, if this turns into people that think mobile phone games don't turn into esports, they absolutely do. So I don't know if this is an esport yet. It's probably not popular enough to be, but I think they're trying to like get it going between the Olympics. So over the next 4 years, they can kind of build it up to be an esport. Dude, I don't know. I'm never telling my kids about this game though.
No.
Could you
At all.
imagine an Olympic esport? Because they said they're gonna allow esports in the next one. The Olympic esport is
This
just
is the-
playing a
this is what they're
game
allowing.
that is playing the other Olympic thing. That's
That's what
dumb.
That's what it's gonna be. Yeah,
So
forget
stupid.
the Call of Duty stuff.
Yeah.
No Madden. No. We're not even going Candy Crush. We're playing our own game about the sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Olympics, they've been weird. And, I was talking with my cousin and he's like, it seems like people aren't as excited as they used to be about the Olympics. And I was like, well, Jim, dude, how do you even watch it? Like back in the day, you just turned the TV on and you'd have the Olympics.
They need
You know
a
what I mean? Like it was on regular TV. Now,
It's still on NBC.
yeah, you got to get a Peacock app.
Yeah, you either need
And-
to have specifically a Peacock or obviously have a cable subscription. And I sat there, well, cable subscriptions are way down. And Peacock is one of the smallest streaming platforms. If the Olympics wants to be serious about getting the most eyeballs at this point, they need to just say, we're not signing exclusivity deals. We will do deals with every streaming platform because we want to be everywhere.
That's what it should be. It's supposed to be everywhere. That is the thing about the Olympics is that everyone's supposed to watch it and take part and support your country. But how can you do that when you can't even watch it, man? Like you
Although,
can watch highlights online. That's it.
shout out to NBC. I was watching the USA basketball today, and the thing is, it wanted me to connect my cable account to it. Well, I haven't paid my DirecTV bill yet, so my DirecTV is shut off at the moment. It's still connected and let me watch. I'm like, well, thanks.
That's cool.
Of course, I was watching it on a PC where it wouldn't let me close the bottom box on it, so the score was covered the entire.
I was watching it on Streams East.
Yeah.
Y'all know about Streams East, right?
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, the score was blocked on that too. Everyone in the chat is like, "What's the score?" I'm like, "For real? Why is the score blocked this whole time?"
Yeah, bad presentation.
I will say the one nice thing about NBC, of course, having it is obviously that we get Round Ball Rock, and it's one of my all-time favorite songs by John Tesh.
Sure.
NBA on NBC theme. Like seriously, I used to have that burnt CDs, and that was our music when we came out with our basketball team for the starting lineup.
Nice.
I gave it to the PA guy every time. That or the DX theme.
Nice.
Nah, that's a good theme.
Classic.
Still, I don't know, man. The Olympics is missing the boat with a lot of modern things today, but just the idea that they are just we're done with what's been a true. By the way, hasn't there been like 6 of these games?
I
It's
think
been
so.
going on. This has been Mario and Sonic at the Olympics have been going on because they do the Winter Olympics and they do the Summer Olympics.
I
They
think
do both.
since 2006.
Let
Does
me
that
look.
sound about right?
Yeah,
Or 8?
and I know they made separate versions for the summer and the winter in the past.
Was it on GameCube?
Gosh,
If it wasn't, then I think the first one was
Might have been.
2008 because we came out in 06, and I
Yeah.
know it wasn't a launch year title. But I mean, it was a long reign.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it was a staple, right?
yeah, definitely a staple. We just had it for a long time. Like I never really thought the game was ever fantastic, but
Me either.
I did think it was like good enough, you know.
Yeah, that's what I felt about the game. It wasn't. It was not a game I was like super excited to like pre-order or something, but I guess I was just glad it was there. I thought it was cool. It was a good way to represent Mario and Sonic. It was kind of funny too because it's like if you grew up when we did with Nintendo and Sega battling it out in the console wars. It was cool to see them compete in the Olympic game. It was very fitting, I guess you could say,
Sure.
and it made sense. But Olympic games in general used to be a thing. I
Yeah.
mean, like right here, guys, track and field. You know what I'm saying? Like Konami had the license for a long time. I remember they had a game on PlayStation 1. They had the international track and field games. Like these games were actually really fun. They were button mashers, and if you played multiplayer, it was a good time. And it's really fell off. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. So Andres Restarts here. Welcome.
What's up,
in.
man?
Welcome in. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We're on our first topic, dealing with the Sonic and Olympic Games stuff. Do you hear what happened with that?
Yeah, I did.
So how do you-
Despicable.
How do you like that?
I honestly, I can't believe that they would put Sonic and Mario in the same game. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's blasphemy.
Blasphemy.
No, joking aside, I'm actually happy that Mario and Sonic could have such a good run together. And I'm extremely disappointed to hear that part of the reasons why that it's no longer a thing is because the Olympic Committee thought NFTs was a good idea. I don't want to get political, but the Olympic Committee seems to have been making a lot of mistakes lately. So,
I agree.
Yeah. Don't want to get into that stuff, but like,
Yeah.
I looked up the game and I was looking at the review. Like, it's literally for kids.
Also,
It's a little
you know.
kid game, which is fine.
Ooh.
I'm fine with the Olympics wanting to reach out to kids, not with NFT games. That's just,
NFTs are not for kids.
No.
but it's
and-
literally an NFT game.
But think
NFTs
about
are
it,
not
right?
for kids. NFTs are for people who want to lose their money.
Everything's geared towards that though. It's all geared towards the kids. Like, for instance, you guys know with NBA 2K, they call my team my casino now. It's true, that's what it's geared towards.
Is this annoying?
It's pay
Like,
to
is my-
win.
Is my chewing too loud?
You are fine.
I can't hear
I
it.
thought about eating beforehand, but then I wouldn't be here till like 10.
You're fine. And you get to take the last topic, so you're good.
Is that the secret topic? Because
No.
Oh man.
You get the boring headline topic. It was left for you. Anyway,
I wonder how much stuff costs in there, because there's in-app purchases, right?
yeah, of course there is.
I wonder what they cost. Like, what does this start at? I
I
wonder
don't
how
know.
messed up this is. Like,
I don't
how
know,
deep
yeah,
does it
and when
go?
the kids are trading. Oh, I got a little pole vault image. You could buy it from me for $5. Like, what are we doing?
What's it called? Do I need to take one for the team?
No, you don't need to. No one's saying
called
we're not
Olympic
playing the
Gold.
game on stream. No.
No. I just want to. Now I want to know how much it is.
Well,
Like
the
how
app's
much in-app
free.
purchases are.
Yeah. Olympics Go or something like that. And
Yeah, it's Olympics Go.
on Android,
Surely it should tell me how much it is without. Okay, here we go. So the most expensive thing on here is a $20 gems pack.
And it's a pack.
Yeah, everything else is like
So chance.
Oh
$1,
no!
It's like buying
$3,
packs.
$3, $10, $6,
This is
$1.
horrible.
Is it all like the pack where it's random?
That's what
Of
it looks
course.
like.
Oh yeah, it's
Of
a
course.
gotcha NFT game. Even
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Oh man, that's not good. This is so bad. Like I know I'm just old. I'm an old head when it comes to this stuff, but I am not a fan at all of micro transactions, right? Like if it's DLC and it makes sense, like I respect it. Like the Mario Kart DLC, I respect the heck out of that. And that is a great deal. Elden Ring DLC, expansions, that's great. But all these microtransactions for stupid stuff, like closing a game, like come on, dude, and all these other things that used to be unlockables back in the day, but now they're charging for it. It's like, come on.
I think games are perfect if they give you a balance of both. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care if, like, I'm fine paying for skins in Fortnite. Like, that's whatever, because I know that's what I'm getting going into it. But I
Who's that
also
hurting? No one.
I also do miss being able to work for things in game and like grind up credits or whatever the in-game currency is and then
Grindable
buy it,
content.
because then I feel accomplished at the end of like, oh, look at me, I got this skin because I sat down and I grinded for 10 hours and I got all the credits I needed. And like,
Right. And then when you use the skin in the game, people see it, that you got the skin. It's like, oh man, like he was able to do that a couple years ago in 2K. I think it was 2022 in my team. There was a Minute Bowl card that came out towards the end of the game, and you had to do all this crazy stuff. And one of them was like to beat I think maybe like the 90s, not all-star team, but legend team. So all the best players, they're all 99 overall, and you had to beat them with all sapphires.
Mhm.
And nobody could do it. But if you could, there was very few people. I got to do it. If you had Minute Bowl on your team in the game, everyone knew like, oh shit, like respect, because he was able to unlock them because you couldn't buy them. You know what I mean? The only way to get it was to grind for it. So
Right.
I think it's okay to have both, but you got to have both. That's the thing, is that it seems like the grindable aspect is going away for the most part. They want you to pay more money.
Yeah, I'm just not happy about this at all. I mean, look, obviously, selfishly as a Nintendo guy, it's like, man, we've been getting this every Olympics for most of my adult life, and to just not have it's not a game I bought all the time, so it's not a big
Yeah.
deal. But I'd rather my children play this, like a Mario and Sonic Olympic game, versus another phone gotcha NFT type of game. But whatever.
I have an important thing to say.
Yeah.
Boo Mini asked me what kind of food I'm eating. This is a Tropa Chop. It's from Pollo Tropical, for those who are unfamiliar. It's like I think it's a restaurant in Florida. Pollo is chicken in Spanish, and Tropical is tropical. So chicken tropical is how it translates, but you can call it Pollo Tropical. So yeah, Tropa Chop's It's got chicken, peppers, onions, tomatoes, corn, rice, beans, and cilantro garlic sauces. I want to pick. It's pretty good, and it's kind of healthy, but also like pretty filling. So good protein. That's it.
Very nice.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was pretty important.
It is.
That
It
was
is.
very important.
It is.
Yo, the Pollo Tropical is like so good. This is a tropical, which is healthy, but I have a whole bunch of other stuff. I also have these. How many of you are familiar with yuca?
No.
It's better than fries. It's like
Better
fries,
than
but better. Oh yeah,
What
fried
is it?
yuca.
Wow, what is that?
These are fried yuca bites. And so I will get my extra cilantro garlic sauce.
I like how you're trying to like culture us.
Mm,
I'm
cilantro
the-
garlic.
But what
will-
is yuca? That's the
I
question.
Google it, but it's better than fries. Imagine if this is like a fried potato wedge, except it tastes good. By compare, like fried, they're okay, but yuca's like way better. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, looks good.
Oh.
Alrighty then. That is a thing that you are
Fair enough.
doing.
Next time you're in South Florida, stop by Pollo Tropical or just eat yuca. Yuca's good. I don't know. I guess it's a vegetable. What?
I had a Cuban coffee for my first time when I was down
Were
there.
you wired?
Holy
They take them like they're like shots. They're small.
dude, they are. It is way more than any energy drink I've ever done. Holy shit! I was tired and it woke me the fuck up.
That's clean.
Just damn.
That's what's good about it.
Anyways,
Mhm.
all right.
You spell yuca, I think Y-U-K-A. By
Mhm.
the way,
Yeah, not like ukulele, guys. Not the video game.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we went to the next topic. Otherwise, we'll just bitch about the Olympics this whole time.
Bam Adebayo,
Well,
pretty good against South Sudan,
Yeah, he was.
all right. Yeah, I knew you had to get your.
and they
band.
want Jason Tatum to take his spot, which is ridiculous. Jason Tatum sucks.
Hey,
But anyways.
Buck
Good this year.
was. I had my USA basketball Booker jersey on today. Walking around town, I got a lot of people nodding at me, giving that show of respect.
I'm gonna watch Giannis tomorrow or the next day. Go ahead and drop 45 and get eliminated. So that's fun.
Probably, yeah. I don't dislike Devin Booker though, so he's a cool guy.
All right.
He's a good dude.
Getting into our next topic. So Game Freak's making some.
Oh, by the way, I don't hate Jason Tatum either. I just like to talk smack about.
No,
Jason
fuck him. He's a
Tatum.
Celtic. Yep. Moving on.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyways, so Game Freak is doing some weird stuff and hiring a bunch of people. It's not for their usual internship program, which a lot of people know about, but rather they're looking for people that have at least 3 years experience. So they're looking for experienced workers here. And it looks like the current estimates at Game Freak for the number of employees, because there isn't an exact head count on their website, seems to be between 200 and 250, somewhere in there. However, they're looking to add at least 37 people in a hiring spree. They made a whole website for it. Now, we say at least 37 because they're looking for at least one person for 37 different positions. We don't know if they're trying to hire multiple people for multiple positions, like they want multiple programmers or multiple 2D artists, or that we don't know because it doesn't list how many they're hiring, but it just lists every position they're hiring for. So it's at least 37 people, probably more. We just don't have an exact count, but that would be one of the biggest hiring sprees Game Freak has ever done in the history of the company, which is pretty notable, just the sheer number of people they're trying to add, especially because we're entering a new generation next year where maybe they need more people to help make their Pokemon games. Of course, we could argue they've been needing more people this whole time, but specifically, we're entering a new system where Nintendo's like, hey, it costs more money to make games, and now Game Freak's actually investing in bringing some people in or being allowed to invest. I don't really know exactly how the particulars work there.
Wasn't there like a statistic that came out like last week, or at least people were talking about on Twitter last week about how like the international Pokemon company made more money than Nintendo last year?
Yeah, 10.2 billion.
Which is kind of crazy because Pokemon's like Nintendo, like part of Pokemon is Nintendo.
Yeah, part of that money does go to Nintendo. Yeah,
Yeah.
but not like a majority of it doesn't.
I think what's weird about It's not that it's. I don't think it's weird. I just don't think people realize just how big Pokemon is, because Pokemon's not just a video game. It's like, yeah, Pokemon, like the root of Pokemon is the video games, but it's so much bigger than the video games. You have just an insane amount of merchandising. Like I would say, I don't know the numbers, but I'm not afraid about saying this. I'm pretty sure that like Pokemon makes more merchandise than any other Nintendo IP. Like I don't think it's close.
Yeah, it's not even
I don't
close.
think it's close, right? For whatever reason, people like buying Pokemon stuff more than anything else. But then you also have the shows, the trading cards, right? Like it's just insane.
That number we're talking about with Pokemon, that's just retail merchandise sales. Has nothing to do with the video games. Has nothing to do with Pokemon Go revenue. Has nothing to do with anything other than just pure merchandise. Trading
So
card
merchandise sales made more. Pokemon made more in merchandise sales than Nintendo made last year.
Yes,
is that what you're saying?
$10.8 billion. Now we don't know how much that's profits,
Sure.
obviously. But the reason this got reported was because the 2023 sales came in for retail for merchandise, and they were ranked as the number 7th in pure merchandise, ahead of Blue Star Alliance, which I don't remember what they make. And Mattel is behind the Pokemon Company, and they're within spitting distance of Hasbro and Warner Bros. Discovery.
That's insane.
Obviously, Disney's number 1 by quite a lot, but yeah.
The thing about that, right? I think people look at them like, oh, see, that's why the games are shit. But they're just two different things. Like,
I mean, I can't say it has nothing to do, but it's not.
It is related though, right? Because the merchandising follows the video game.
Yeah.
So when people kind of get on Gary Freak and Pokemon Company, in terms of like taking their time with their games, there is they do have like a schedule that they kind of need to maintain. Fortunately, though, I mean, all signs are pointing towards them at least having a longer generation this time. They're going back to the 4-year generation gap, which I think is a lot healthier than the 3-year generation gap. I think we can all agree with that. So, I mean, I would be at this stage, I would be kind of shocked if that's not the case, because like Legends EA is not an early 2025 game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I put in the notes here that some of the hires could be to help finish up Legends EA, but given how many people they're hiring, I don't know if that's the case. They have multiple teams. And the thing is, Game Freak does operate a lot like Nintendo. They don't just do these, aren't like temporary, you're with us for 3 months and gone. Some of the positions are contract, but if you actually dig into what it says on the job, it's contract to be hired long term. So like they're like, hey, we need help right now. We might retain you long term. So it's like, probably based on job performance. But it's interesting because obviously we know, I mean, at least we're pretty confident that Gen 10's probably already in development, has been in development for a little while now, because they have multiple teams.
Random tangent. Just want to go back to something I said earlier. Yuga spelled with a C, not a K. Just YUCA. I have to correct myself. Anyway, sorry. Continue with the Pokemon thing. If people are gonna look up Yuka, they should look up. If you Google YUCA, you're not gonna find it. YUCA. Who knows? There might be a Pokemon that's based off Yuka next gen. So
here we go.
There might be.
Here we go. He's already pushing the agenda.
Well, Scarlet and Violet was based off Spain, which was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty exciting. It's like, oh,
and despite
I'm not from Spain, but the tropical environment thing, it did kind of hit me because like the environments did feel a little bit like home, so it was kind of cool.
So a few questions we have, like, are we pleased that Game Freak's adding a significant amount of employees to the staff? Are we more shocked at how small the development studio was before this hire? Or does this give us any hope on quality standards with upcoming Pokemon games beyond Legends?
I mean, I feel like more people theoretically should equal higher quality, but that's not necessarily always the case. Because I'm not saying that people they're hiring aren't talented. They could very well be, but you run into the issue of like quality versus quantity. So like you could have a lot of people and your game gets done faster, but the quality isn't always there.
The team needs to be cohesive, right? Like,
right.
If there's not a good connection and working relationship between all the moving parts, it's going to fall apart. Great example, assuming we believe Imran Khan, which I think most people do. right? The prior Metro Prime 4 project was being developed in parts, right? There was probably a large team being put together, but Nintendo didn't go forward with that project because it wasn't a cohesive effort, right? It was in parts. You kind of want something. You want a team that knows each other and is working well with each other. I like, Nick. I feel like I cut you off, so I feel like I should shut up.
Well,
But-
I mean, that was pretty much the point of like, theoretically, yes, more people would raise your quality expectations, especially after everything that happened with Scarlet and Violet, because I feel like that's the direction they should go, because like Pokemon games should be good. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, just make good Pokemon games. It's really disheartening as someone who's like getting into Pokemon. Everyone, like I asked, like, what game should I start with? What game should I play? And everyone's like, well, you need to emulate this, emulate that. And I'm like, no. If I want to get into Pokemon on my Nintendo Switch that I own, what do I start with? And everyone kind of rolls their eyes and they're like, I mean,
Pokken Tournament.
well, you could start with this one, but it's not as good. And I mean, you could play the remake of the old one, but it's not the same. And I'm like, okay, they can't all be bad. Like, and I mean, I've been playing Shining Pearl, and it's been fun.
like I don't know what to recommend to people because I think Legends is great, but it's also not representative of most of the series. Scarlet and Violet, I think, has a lot of cool ideas, but the execution is poor. Sword and Shield, I mean, maybe Sword and Shield.
That's what I would say.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If,
It's safe.
if I'm talking to a new
Yeah.
Pokemon fan, I'm going to tell them to play the latest Pokemon game because that's where the series is going in the future. I don't want to set them up so then the next games come out and they're radically different than their expectations.
That's a good point. You know, I could see that.
For all its issues, that's the future of Pokemon.
Nick, did you start one?
I did. I started Shining Pearl a couple weeks ago. I was playing it on stream. I'm like chronicling it on stream because I've never played one. And I think Shining Pearl is fine. Everyone's
is.
like, "Oh, it's
is.
gonna be
I
so
hate it.
bad," and blah, 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 blah.
So that's
I'm
the
like-
thing about it. No, the thing you're playing for the first time, right?
Yeah.
So
you're
I
just
don't
like, oh, this is a
have
fun
any
game.
expectation of
Yeah,
what
with no
it's
expectation,
supposed to be. Like I'm not comparing it to
I'm not
the
even comparing it
original.
to the original.
Yeah.
I didn't like the original either.
It's beneficial for you.
Also, you probably would like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Like being real, like you're probably gonna like it. Like if you like
I
Brilliant
love
Diamond, you're probably gonna like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
I love Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
good.
They're
They're-
cool.
They're good games.
It's Gen 1, but the Pokemon are in the
Yeah.
world. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, so yeah, I mean, the bottom line is like for me, like someone super chatted this in to make sure I feature this because Joe Merrick, you guys don't know, he's a really big name in the Pokemon universe of covering Pokemon stuff from Cerebi. I said the Game Freak hiring thing isn't really news, as this is common for Game Freak, as they do it frequently and multiple times a year. So I was digging into this. They do hire frequently. It's the amount of people they're hiring. They usually hire in like 10 to 12 person batches. Here they're hiring like 40 plus in one go, which is the more unusual thing. But yes,
Mhm.
they are known to use temporary contract employees more often than any other company that
If you could get good sourcing for that, that would be a good thing to point out in a video.
besides retro, obviously they use a lot of contract employees. Good sourcing on what? The temporary or the
important distinguishing factor between the temporary and quantity versus what this is. I think if you have good like evidence to show that, because it's a good counter argument, right? Because people will be like, oh, this is clickbait, but it's not clickbait if it's clearly different.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed? And just a more broader piece of this is that it seems like every time, and you guys will all know if this is accurate or not, or if it's just in my head, but it seems like each time Nintendo, any sort of news comes out about hiring or about how it's like the greatest company to work for in Japan, how it was voted, it seems like either the same day there's an announcement of a huge layoff at Sony or Microsoft, like Bungie, obviously, that was announced today. And it seems like the news cycle with Nintendo and some other company happens in conjunction with each other. I feel like the last one was possibly something with Xbox, but
Those people that got fired at Bungie should move to Japan and work for Game Freak.
yeah.
Why not?
Doubt it. Yeah, it did.
By the way, Nate, I do want to say
They got families.
I really appreciate. I mean, living in Japan would be a good experience. But anyways,
Yeah.
I really appreciate how you took the time to leak Gen 10 footage in your background. Like those water Pokemon look crazy, bro. I love it. What is that, dude? Like, is that the water starter?
I'm just no. It's the next Pokemon Snap. Get it right. Get it
Based off Gen 10.
right. No. Bandai Namco.
It's actually Endless Ocean, but a better version of it.
Hey, people love Endless Ocean. I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Some people, like 20.
Yeah, you mean the people the game was made for? See, that's the problem with Endless Ocean. It's made for a very niche crowd, and that crowd loves it. Other people can't get into it, but those other people couldn't get into the old Endless Ocean games. So
The thing is, I'd
Better
probably
to
play it, but I would
have-
never beat it.
Better to have 20 real fans than 100 fake fans.
Now
Yeah.
you're trying to run a business.
that's true.
Yeah.
Never trying to run business.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
hey,
Yeah.
hey, we don't know. I don't know what the sales of that game are.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we don't.
getting
We
back
might
on
find out later this week, though.
getting
Yeah.
back on track. Yeah, guys, I don't know. We have sales updates for Nintendo games this week.
Yeah. Nice.
Don't think there's a Q&A at this one, though, guys. For people hoping that there's going to be a Q&A where maybe, like, Furukawa hints towards things, there isn't a Q&A scheduled for this one. this
Yeah,
week.
all we're gonna get is a Switch 2 trailer.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Right.
When they told us to Switch 2 news, it wasn't in the Q&A. So it was just on Twitter. So who knows what just watch that Nintendo company IR thing. Just pay attention, because Furukawa.
that's this week is the sales thing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
What's
mean,
the day? Because
fiscal
it's already
quarter
Wednesday.
2 closes today.
Like tomorrow.
Tomorrow's quarter 3.
We might find out in 3. Might get the Switch 2 trailer in 3 hours. Guys, I'm kidding. All right, like just so we're clear, I'm just shooting the shit, right? I am not being serious at all about anything except for that snake in the water behind.
You don't
Now
want
it's
to. You don't
okay.
want to lock that prediction in.
Start is very good at derailing every topic today.
That's right. I'm the derailer.
Ah,
If it's not derailed, it's not a good topic.
So Nick, what were you saying?
I was just asking Andres if he wanted to like lock that prediction in for the trailer. Like
But
you don't want
do it
to
in
like
3 hours?
100%. It's coming in 3
One
hours.
challenge bet. Let's go. I'll take that bet.
I'm not taking that bet.
What do you
That's
mean?
fine.
You just gotta have your whatever thing that you're praising that needs to become a Pokemon food item that I'll never eat.
Yeah.
What? Never? Oh,
I'll
come
probably
on.
never eat it
Why not?
because
Why?
I'll never remember to get it.
Bro, I'll take you to Pollo Tropical next time you're in Miami.
Yeah,
It's
you
cheap. It's a cheap date. It's fast food, but it's better than fast food. It's
It's a
good food.
cheap date. I have to go to Miami. That's already not cheap.
Fair. But I'll at least take it to Pollo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At least the food will be
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
Anyways, I for me, I do think that some of the hiring is prep. Some of it's obviously temporary contract employees, probably to help finish up Legends, if I had to guess, because that's supposedly coming out next year. And I say supposedly because we have no idea. Delays could happen. Pokemon delays are very, very rare, but we'll see. I think it's interesting because for me, the great hope every time I hear the Pokemon companies hiring is, hey, are they finally going to like put more effort into their games? But then, hey, also new hardware is coming that's going to require more people just to keep doing what they're already doing, which isn't that great. And by the way, like when you hear like Game Freak only has 200, 250 employees, that's not all the people that work. They outsource a ton of work. Like Creatures Inc. is not counted in there, and Creatures Inc. does a lot of the graphic work. So like, and I'm not saying graphic work and they do the programming for it. They do a lot of like the designs and stuff like that. So I just feel like Pokemon's in this place where we see a story like this and we want to get our hopes up that it means something significant, and it probably doesn't. Like, I think that's kind of what Joe Merrick was getting at. He wasn't like trying to downplay that they're hiring. It's more so if you think this is going to make a big difference at the company, it probably won't, even if it's more people than they usually hire.
I mean, I think the big difference is they're taking a year, an extra year here. Like this year's
Yeah,
a break
there's
year.
nothing this year. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing this year.
That's the good news. The best news we've gotten is no news. As weird as that sounds. In the case of
Until
Pokemon,
there's a Pokemon remake this holiday, and we're going to hear about it tomorrow.
that'd be wild.
There's I mean, there could be a Pokemon Presents coming here in August.
There will be, but there will not be a Pokemon remake announced in August.
Because I can
Come out in November.
minimize backlash of the next BDSP by only giving people 2 months to bitch.
So this is what you do. You announce a Pokemon remake for November. People get pissed, but then 48 hours. Listen, all right. I know it's the Yuka, but I was talking about my live stream last night. Like August theoretically could be crazy, because like we probably will get Echoes of Wisdom news soon, right? So we'll get Zelda news. We kind of have to get Emio news before it comes out.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be a Pokemon Presents based off the last 3 years because there was a second one in August. And there's a solid chance that the Switch 2 is discussed this month. That would be a crazy, I would say probably not all those things are going to happen in August, right? But there's a good chance a lot of it will.
So, hey, Gamescom, right?
Sure.
Obviously here in August, and Game Freak's going to be there.
Yeah, Game Freak's there, but Nintendo's not this year.
Publicly.
Well,
Publicly, yeah.
Behind
Because
closed
the hopes
doors.
they're there behind closed doors, yeah.
Nintendo was there last year, and it wasn't public. But
There you go.
Nintendo's just literally not going to be there.
And they also got mad.
It was only in the business section, and their whole booth was an enclosed thing, and only select media got to go into it. So, like, Nintendo was at Gamescom last year, but they did nothing publicly. There was no public demos for anything. There was no advertising. It was literally just a tent that only select people got to go in.
But that's where supposedly we got the Matrix and Breath of the Wild tech demos.
So that's what I'm saying. Like when it's announced ahead,
may never see.
Not there. I just think they're just not there. I think they're just skipping out.
You think Game Freak's doing anything though? I mean, they're there for a reason. What is it?
Legends DA. Well, actually, they are pushing something this year. It's the trading card game app. Like that actually might be a pretty big deal. Like we're kind of sleeping on it because it's a mobile game, but
for
it's
them,
probably going to make them a lot of money.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to download it.
And at every event I see Pokemon go to, they always have trading card stuff going on. So it could just literally be just a big trading card event for them.
Trading cards a cash cow. Mobile games are a cash cow. Use them. Bro, this is a Yuka, bro. I'm going crazy.
Yeah, I know, dude. What is happening with us?
I don't know, man. We worked chest today. It's not as bad as legs, but maybe the blood flow is a little off.
Is there like a Metroid at the back of your brain right now, just sucking down? Something's going on.
Nothing. Oh, is there anything?
No, I don't think so. All right. Anyone else have anything else they want to add to the Pokemon stuff?
I mean, you basically took the words out of my mouth. It's really, you hope they keep these people permanently so that they can actually put out a decent product at when
I love how
the
you're just
beginning.
like hopefully a decent, like it's like so much like we just know it's gonna make no difference.
I don't think they're gonna have back-to-back episodes like this.
Well, I think Legend CA I think is gonna end up just fine. I actually fully believe the team that made Legends just literally went on to start working on Legend ZA right after.
Yeah, because I think they have 3 teams, and they kind of just
so, like that team has earned my trust inside Game Freak that they're going to put out something that it might not look visually great, depending, but it'll run well and have good gameplay concepts to go with it.
It's all relative.
Well, I mean, look, we can say it's relative, but like Pokemon Legends does not look very good visually. It's not a visual.
And see, the thing is, you say that, but I actually like how it looks.
No, I'm not saying that I don't like how it looks. It is still not. It's just there's jaggies everywhere, blurry.
All right,
but I would rather have that over what they did in Scarlet and Violet, where it's a little. They push the graphics a little more, but it runs like shit. There's other issues.
I'd like to see an HD 2D treatment for Pokemon.
Yeah, if they want to remake Gen 1 for the 5th time, do that.
That would
Yeah,
be
I agree, Andres. If they want to remake it
Because I'll buy
for the
it.
5th time,
I'll
do
buy
that.
it.
I would
Yeah.
too. Because I feel like that's how it would happen, right? It would be in a remake scenario. I don't think they would do that for
No, they're not
the new
going back.
direction.
They're not
But
going
it would
back.
make
They're only
sense for
going
that.
forward. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because people don't like the art style, right? Of the current remake, the
Oh,
Was it
Brilliant Diamond Shining
Brilliant
Pearl.
Diamond.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll take HD 2D over that any day.
yeah.
I mean, hot take. I don't think it looks that bad.
Oh, no, I
No, it
agree
doesn't.
with you. It doesn't
It doesn't
bother
look
me.
bad.
But I know a lot of people, like out on Twitter, Reddit, talk down about the graphical style, and that actually they won't even play the game because they can't look at it. It's like, oh, okay, suit yourself, whatever. That's
a
not
little-
how I roll, but
much.
I respect it. But I feel like HD 2D would make everybody happy.
You want to know what's on my mind right now?
What?
Yuka?
Astral Chain, 60 frames per second. Switch to-
That's what's on your mind.
yeah, it
That's
is.
a good candidate.
My mind. All right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about art styles and Astral Chain. Like, I don't know. It's
Dude,
interesting.
Astral Chain is awesome.
Astral Chain is off the chain.
Yes, it is. Let's get to our next topic, which I don't even know what it is. Thunderstash. What are we talking about, Mister?
Wow. You know what it's gonna be.
I have no idea. Oh wait, is it what we?
Yeah.
See, I gave you the topic.
No, I knew it going into it. When I saw the list and I saw the mystery, I was like, I know I'm going to get the mystery topic. And I know what I'm going to pick.
I'm taking the mystery.
So I-
topic now.
So I already have a list
Oh,
of my top 5.
I definitely
Uh-oh.
didn't make a list. I did not prepare a list. Well, you might want to introduce the topic since Andres Restart
I
wasn't
will.
here for that combo.
All right. So it's going to
Favorite
be.
foods.
Yeah, right. Today is not. I don't think it is, but Nintendo's celebrating Game Boy's 35th anniversary today. And it is the 35th anniversary. And you know what? It doesn't have to be the exact day. If Nintendo wants to celebrate it today, whatever. Nate and I don't agree with it, but whatever. So we should do our top 5 Game Boy games. And I'd like to be specific here because there may come a time where we want to do the top 5 Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance games because they're going to have a significant anniversary. So the way I want to be specific is it's going to be the top 5 games for Game Boy, original Game Boy, not Color, not Advance. So I will go first so you guys can conjure up a list because I already have a list here.
Darn, that's going to be tough.
Yeah,
And
all right, just normal Game Boy.
I will start off with
If it has a notch, counts. The card.
Super Mario Land series. And I couldn't well, I'm not gonna say Mario Land 3. Super Mario Land 3 is Wario Land. I'm gonna go with Super Mario Land 1 and 2 is kind of the same thing. Obviously Super Mario Land was a launch title. It's a short game. I really enjoyed it. I love the soundtrack in this game. You can beat it fast. It's kind of weird. It's quirky. What is there? Nate, I think you know this game well. Isn't there like 2 levels? One of them you're in like a submarine.
Yeah.
And then another one like you're flying a ship or something.
Yep, some of that. Yep.
Yeah, like there's different gameplay mechanics. It's a pretty cool game. And of course, it was the first game to show off the Game Boy, that and Tetris. And if you're not like huge into puzzlers, that was your game right there, Super Mario Land. Tetris sold the Game Boy, but for a kid like me who at the time was 4 years old, I got one I think when I was like 5 or 6, and Super Mario Land was one of the games I had to get. So I say that one, and I say the sequel, which is Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. that game also was just weird, man. There was a lot of different suits you could get in the game. And of course, growing up playing like the 2D Marios, the suits are always fun. Mario 3 had some of the all-time best suits. That's probably debatable because there's been a lot of other games since then. But for me, I always enjoyed the suits in Mario 3, and I felt like Super Mario Land 2 kind of carried that on. It was an extension of that. Next, I got to go with Link's Awakening, of course. I have such great memories of this game, man. It was funny. There's some comments going back and forth on my YouTube channel, and we were talking about Link's Awakening, but it was about drawing maps for games back in the day because we didn't have the internet, and Zelda was one of those games where you actually might want to draw a map for. And I specifically remember actually drawing a map on a piece of paper for the original Zelda and for Link's Awakening. And I just felt like those games were always perfect candidates to do it for because, you have the little squares that show you what you filled up in the big rectangle, which is your map. And to try and hit everything in the game, it really helped to draw a map. I just have really good memories of that. And obviously when Link's Awakening remake was announced, I was very happy to see that because I love that game. Love the soundtrack too. Next, I got to go with one that maybe none of you guys will pick. I don't know. But it's Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. I am a big Kid Icarus fan. I love the game. Love it on regular Nintendo. This Game Boy game is a beautiful extension of the NES game. And, obviously we got a lot of that in the first year or two of Game Boy. Yeah, like a lot of the games were sequels to NES games. And in fact, a lot of the games were sequel to the black box NES games. Like you had Balloon Fight for NES, and then you had Balloon Kid for the Game Boy, right? Kid Icarus, black box, and then Kid Icarus for Game Boy. There was a lot of stuff like that going on. And I thought that was a very good game. So that's one. And then I got to go with, of course, Pokemon. Pokemon did come out for the original Game Boy, Red and Blue. That's the first Pokemon game that I played. And definitely a lot of great memories of that because everybody was playing this game when it came out. It was interesting. Like I'd go to the gym every day, right? Play basketball over the summer. And we brought in, you bring your duffel bag, you got, your basketball, your stuff. We always brought our Game Boys too, because it was at a community center. So there's other stuff going on. They had like a room with video games. A lot of people hung out there, and everybody always had a link cable with them. You had to have one. If you're trying to trade Pokemon, you have to have a link cable. And it was just funny, man. Like it was a special time where a video game like really took over, and we hadn't really seen that back then. And especially on that scale of Pokemon, we hadn't seen a game just like take over the world the way it did. And I also think that nobody was really expecting this to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was expecting Pokemon to just come in and do what it did. We didn't know yet. It was Pocket Monsters in Japan, and there wasn't a ton of coverage on that. So that was a very special time. And then, of course, the last one is the DK Land series, Donkey Kong Land, which was essentially Donkey Kong Country, but for a Game Boy. And Rare did such a great job with these games. If you went back today and played them, it might be hard to play them. But back in the day playing that, you're like, wow, because you couldn't even tell how they did it on Super Nintendo. The graphics were just so cutting edge, state of the art for Super Nintendo. And then to be able to shrink it down to Game Boy and actually make it look as good as it did was just so, so impressive. So those were the 5 games I had. I didn't think too much about it.
All right.
Who's ready to go next? Who's got a list?
So for me,
I had you muted. I can hear you're typing. I was trying to make the better listening for the audience. Anyways, you're good. Now I didn't mute you. Now I don't know what you're doing now.
am I?
I manually muted you on my end, so they couldn't hear you. Anyways, you're
Okay,
good.
we're good now. I muted. All right, we're good. I double muted myself, I guess. All right. So I didn't play that many Game Boy games as a kid because when I had it, I was like really little. I think it was technically my dad's Game Boy, but I did have a Game Boy Color, and there was some overlap there. And I know there are some game. It's kind of weird actually because like there was Game Boy games, and some of those Game Boy games would have color enhancements, right? For Game Boy Color, and then there are some Game Boy Color games that could still play on Game Boy, even though they were branded as a Game Boy Color game. And then there were some Game Boy Color games that you could not play on Game Boy. So I will not be bringing those up. The ones that had no notch, I remember, right? Because there was the Game Boy Color games that had no notch. They would not fit into your original Game Boy because you would turn on the original Game Boy, the power switch was like on the top, and it would have a little plastic flap that would fit over the cartridge. So that wouldn't work, right? But anyways, I think I got a list of 5. So the first one I'm going to say is probably the. I gotta double check this, but definitely Pokemon Red and Blue. That's in my list for sure. I wanted I'll also say Tetris. Like I still play Tetris today.
Yeah.
I go back on my NSO app for my Game Boy NSO app, and I'm playing Tetris. Like I played it like last week. I'll probably play it later this week. Like I still play that game. So it's the go. It is.
It's timeless.
Yeah. Super Mario Land is also off the chain. So I did play that a lot as a kid. The first one. Pokemon trading card game. That was a Game Boy Color game that you could still play on Game Boy. And it's really I should probably go back and play that actually. I'm getting nostalgia just thinking about it. And I love that you brought up Kid Icarus, but I never played Kid Icarus. I wish I did, the second one. So I can't say that because I didn't play it. But you know what I did play? Pokemon Gold and Silver, which I am not even sure. I have to double check, but did those play on the original Game Boy?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yep.
Did?
They
Gold
did.
It worked. Okay. So then I picked those.
Well, I thought you were gonna name a certain game.
Oh, Metroid 2?
Yeah.
I didn't play it then.
I kind of thought that might be the case.
That's
yeah.
why. That's why. I prefer the remake.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It was a tough one to play, actually.
Yeah. I've gone back and it ain't easy playing Metroid in black and white.
It's not.
Yeah.
Navigation is, you can do it, but
the navigation is the tough part.
Yeah.
I've got my list.
Nate, let's hear it.
It was very debatable because I took off the Super Mario Land stuff since you brought it up because that would have been on my list. But I'm like, you know what? Dude, this was my heyday. I always say I wasn't a big handheld gamer. Yeah, that was after Game Boy. For my childhood, Game Boy was my primary way to game. I played PC, I played NES. Game Boy games are where I was rocking. I don't need to worry about Game Boy Color. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love Game Boy Color games too. I have an entirely different top 5 list for Game Boy Color. So, the original DuckTales. What are we doing? The second one was great too, but the first one was even better.
I almost had that.
It's just great. It's just a great Game Boy game. Obviously, really good on the NES as well. Better on there. But as a kid, I played it primarily on Game Boy. I gotta throw this one out there. Like, Pokemon was my jam back then. No, it hasn't been said yet. Pokemon Yellow. That was the superior of the Gen 1 games because Pikachu followed you.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that was like the only real main difference.
No, you got the starters.
You
got the starters.
You did get the starters.
You not have to trade for it.
Yeah. So see, that's just more reasons it's superior. It's just a superior Gen 1 game. Anyways, in my opinion. Even though I was impartial to a certain Pokemon that was on the cover of a different game, but it's fine.
Red or blue?
Red. Charizard's my boy.
What about Venusaur?
Nah, I'm good. Leaf Green can go away.
Isn't it crazy that there's 4 different versions?
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah, we didn't get them all in every territory.
Yeah. But it's still crazy to think about.
Anyway,
Different colored cartridges.
Pokemon
Red, blue,
Yellow.
green,
I obviously had Link's Awakening on there, guys, but someone else took it, which is fine. Because this was one that's in my top 5 either way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Fall of the Foot Clan.
Nice.
That one, I mean, look, all the TMNT games back then I felt were pretty damn good. A lot of them obviously just based on the arcade ones that were so great, but Fall of the Foot Clan in particular is just a really damn good game, even if it wasn't a turtle game. Wario Land 2.
Yeah.
Where's
Good
our
one.
Wario Land love? Like, everyone's always talking about we want Wario Land back, but yet no one ever puts it on their top list. Like, hello. This is the heyday of Wario Land. Come on. And you know what? I got to throw this out there. Again, it wouldn't be in my top 5. This would probably be Link's Awakening or Super Mario Land instead, but it's right on the edge. Kirby's Dream Land.
Mm-hmm. It was very good on Game Boy.
Very good on Game Boy.
Wait, was the first Kirby a Game Boy game?
Yeah.
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 And then
That's
a year
wild.
later, it came out on NES, the Kirby game, in
Yep.
94.
Yep, but it was originally on Game Boy. Yeah, I like Game Boy. The hard thing about Game Boy is there's so much overlap with the NES because it's basically a lot of NES games just without color. But there was some games that were particular to the Game Boy, like a Link's Awakening, and Wario Land. But then other games would end up crossing, like even like Super Mario Land. We didn't get Super Mario Bros. We had Super Mario Land. That was the Mario series we had. So, the Game Boy was just an amazing era, and it lasted for so damn long. And then color, look, I know Nintendo counts them together, but color felt like a whole new generation to me. Man,
It felt like it too for me.
like it just the leap in visual, like what leap? I mean, it was just colors. I'm like, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
You pounded away thousands of hours at black and white on a green background, and then all of a sudden you turn on Link's Awakening DX, and you're like, "What is this?"
It was special.
It was like mind blowing back then.
I mean, remember, there was a time when there was black and white TVs and then there were color TVs.
And that was a huge leap forward going. Yeah. And that's what this was. So it's like, I can't.
It
just
was.
same gen. I just can't. But
Color is huge. Yeah.
Did you replay Turtles on the Cowabunga collection?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's a great way to play it. If anyone wants to play the Turtles Game Boy games,
I love
that is the ideal way to play it on the
I haven't
Cowabunga
played Turtles.
collection.
As we're talking about this stuff, though, I'm just kind of thinking about how, like, there were sequels on the Game Boy. But, like, so for example, with Metroid, first Metroid's on NES, sequels on Game Boy, Super Metroid's on Super Nintendo. Like, they were on different. It's just kind of weird how that worked.
By the way, speaking of Turtles, he's not going to plug it himself. We got a recent review of the new Turtles game over on Thunderstash Gaming. Yeah, should go check that out. He already told me it's a must buy, but I waited for the review, and now
you know.
Now it's coming. I'm buying it.
Dude, yeah, I will say this game, like, check out the review. But man, if you guys, anyone in the chat, you guys here, if you're a fan of Hades at all, you have to play this. This really is Turtles meets Hades in all the best ways possible. I was shocked by it. So check out the review if you want to know the details.
Yeah, just had to throw a little plug in because he's not going to bring it up himself. I got you.
Thank you.
Let's get that bad boy up. You know what? I also want to bring up while we're mentioning things. Hey guys, sometimes we get complaints in the comments after a show that I can't watch a 2-hour podcast or a 3-hour, 4-hour, however long it goes. And I totally hear you. You know what we have? The Nintenbyte Podcast Clips channel. You guys can go watch where every topic gets split up into its own video, and you can just watch us all rehash everything there, just the topics you care about. And hey, if 16 of you in the chat subscribe tonight to that channel, it'll hit 500 subscribers.
Hey.
It'll That'd be pretty cool. I'll drop a link to it here in a little bit. Well, how about Nick with no K? You got a list for us, buddy?
I'm gonna defer and let Eric go first. I want to go last.
Ooh,
Okay.
oh, it's got too many.
I mean,
You could say that.
I'm now very curious.
Right? I'm so curious.
I mean, I got to throw out Pokemon because, yeah, that was what I played back in the day for sure. I didn't play a lot on the actual. I didn't actually own an actual Game Boy. I started
Game
at
Gear.
I started at Game Gear, and then I actually had a Game Boy Color. That was my first like Nintendo handheld. So, I didn't really play a whole lot of the regular Game Boy games, but Pokemon was one of them. Pokemon trading card game. Oh wait, no,
So
that's a color.
As I say,
Fuck.
that's color.
No, it counts. No, it counts because you can play it on your Game Boy.
Yeah, it counts.
Oh, you can? Oh,
Yeah.
thought it was color only.
No.
I had a color at the time.
That's what I was talking about earlier, though. It's branded
You
as a color
use-
game, but you can play it on
You
Game
can play it
Boy.
on the original,
Just
yeah.
some exclusive color games. That's
There you
not
go.
one.
TCG
I
game.
guess so.
Yeah, that
I
game
missed
rocks.
that part that it was actually like
It's on NSO,
Sick
baby.
color.
Go play
Yeah.
it.
And then the normal just Nintendo baseball game. That one was always fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to
Konami
bring up Mario Tennis.
football,
Oh.
and then Dr. Mario. Because
Yeah, Dr. Mario.
was freaking fun.
Sweet.
Yeah. Great game. Catchy themes. The music. Yeah. The music in Dr. Mario was so good.
Eric's just jamming out.
Until you couldn't beat a level, and then it was like, shut up. God
Did you on your Game Gear, I just gotta ask, did you have Joe Montana football?
No. I don't think I had any football games. I had MLB baseball, that I absolutely played the living snot out of. And then what else did I have? I had baseball. I had Echo, but I had the Japanese version, so I never knew how to play it. I had, oh gosh, what else did I have? Power Rangers game. That was fun. Yeah, I had a few other games. Sonic. I had Sonic. And then a few other games, but I mainly played baseball, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, my cousin had Game Gear, and he played a lot of Joe Montana football. So of course I played it, a lot of it too. I still remember like one of the best plays in the game. Like I shouldn't have that knowledge still up here.
The only one I still have lodged in my head was Quarterback Club 98.
Oh God, there's one with Brett Favre on the cover,
Yeah.
right?
All you gotta do is roll out right with your quarterback and make sure your left shoulder hits the defender every time, and it's automatic break tackle. 99-yard touchdown runs with the quarterback.
Right.
So
Is the Packer fan. Brett Favre averaged 3,000 rushing yards a season.
I had that with Madden 93 on Sega Genesis. It was the HB toss and pass, and you run backwards, and you make all the defense is running after you, and literally the whole defense will. So your receivers are wide open, and we used to play for money, like when we were kids with my brothers and our neighbors, and we'd play for like the most we play for is like $1 a game, but then we do double or nothing if someone loses. And then before you know it, like someone's trying to pull the controller out of the Sega, and, pulling all the classic antics, and they tried to outlaw that play. Like if you play for money, you can't use that play. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, makes sense.
I know it does. It was fun to do though, because as soon as you did that, like I knew I was gonna get hit. Like I knew one of my brothers were gonna punch me immediately as soon as I started doing that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, good times.
Nick, you got your list? And he's still debating so
Okay.
hard.
Okay. So here's a fun little nugget that I discovered tonight. I've never played a Game Boy game ever because I am not that old.
That is
The Game Boy,
Yeah.
quite literally, I think all of them predate me. So instead,
fact.
I scrolled through the Wikipedia page and found 5 random Game Boy games that really stuck out to me.
Fair
There you
And
enough.
that
go.
will be my top 5. I've
All
never
right.
Go.
played any of them, but we
Game
do
Boy
have
NFO app. Download that shit now.
We can tell
starting
you if the
out-
games are good.
starting out, we have X. It's a 1992 space combat simulation game. I picked that because it reminded me of Twitter, and that's clearly where Elon Musk got his inspiration from. Next up, we have a double pack back to back of Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, both are 1991 and 1992.
Those
I like
Those
Star
were
Wars.
solid, actually.
those are actually pretty.
So I have heard some of the music from those, and the music goes crazy because it's literally just 8-bit John Williams music, and you can't go wrong there.
You can't. Yeah.
My fourth choice is Mickey's Dangerous Chase. It looks kind of interesting.
I actually played that.
I don't remember. I know Mickey Mousecapade on the NES by Capcom. Great game.
I remember
but
playing 101 Dalmatians on Game Boy.
There's a lot of Disney games on
Might have been
Game
a
Boy.
crazy
Yeah.
one, though.
It was the heyday of the Disney. Actually, the game's actually being kind of good.
Right,
'cause
Capcom.
How do you screw it up?
The Capcom. Even like the Home Alone games back then were good. Like I just did. This is a good.
Were there
generation.
any Castlevania Game Boy games?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Two.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Man,
I almost put part 2 on there. Yeah, that's on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection as well. The Game Boy games. The best way to play it. All right, sorry to interrupt. Nick.
What's your last one?
And
You got it.
then my last one might be a controversial pick, but it's gonna end up being Monopoly for the GameCube or the Game Boy.
oh,
the game,
Well,
the GameCube.
for GameCube, yeah, that would be pretty.
Monopoly
controversial
for the
given its
Game Boy.
list.
Listen, I'm sure it went crazy. Just playing Monopoly on your Game Boy instead of playing the actual game. I'm sure that was awesome, but I wouldn't know. But those
was
are the
pretty
5 that
unique.
really stuck
Support.
out to me.
Did it have link cable support though? That's what really matters.
That is a
Great
good
question.
question.
Yeah, so you
Because
can
that could change the
yeah,
game.
you go 1v1 then. Link cable was all the rage back then for multiplayer.
Yo, but playing Monopoly 2 people is like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's really boring.
I-
but
You're just waiting for the game to end. It's like, okay,
that's why I don't mind
know.
the digital versions of Monopoly today. You can have just 2 people, but you can add in CPU characters to like make it a little more fun.
Oh, I do that all the time on Switch. I have like 80 hours in Monopoly for Switch.
really?
Because me and my friend Jackson, we just jump on and like we'll play a game while we're talking and catching up and throw an AI in there. Like it's never super competitive. It's just you want to chat while we play Monopoly, and I mean
Well,
we've been doing that
Monopoly's
for
not a
3
competitive
years.
game.
It's not a
Truly.
competitive game if you don't make it a competitive game.
So yeah,
Yeah, it depends
why
on the
you-
people playing.
this is why I always tell people I don't care who wins. Oh, I'm actually inside competing and knowing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But I also like if I lose, it's like whatever. I don't really care if I lose, but I am trying to win.
That's the only way
I
to play
can't help it.
Monopoly.
I am that way with board games. Like even when I'm like trying to be nice, like oh my kids, I can't help it. Like it's right there. I gotta screw them over. It's just gonna happen.
I do think it's crazy that Monopoly has been on virtually every game console since the Game Boy. Like it's been on every PlayStation,
It's on NES
every
too.
Xbox, pretty much every Nintendo console, handheld or home console since the Game Boy. What a time.
We used to have all that. Like so on the NES, Game Boy, we had Family Feud, and I've played that recently, and it's really funny to try and play that today because the answers are not what you'd think they would be at all. Obviously, because some 30 years have passed. Wheel of Fortune, there was like 3, 4 Wheel of Fortunes, maybe 5 on regular Nintendo, different versions. They had Family Feud, they had Jeopardy Junior, they had Jeopardy Sports Edition, which was cool growing up. Man, they had like board games were a huge deal. Because again, yeah, that was our first time really being able to play a board game on a video game console. It was very novel, I guess you could say, back in the day.
Very novel, huh?
I'm looking at gameplay of Monopoly for the Game Boy.
I bet it's
And
riveting.
I can't tell. It looks like they have a Metroid thing. like they added little Nintendo characters, but it also may just be something else.
They might have.
I think
Let
that
me
would have been cool, but
look with my superior 2020 vision.
Your
you s-
superior 2020 vision.
if you search Monopoly for Game Boy, I clicked on the first video, I think.
Oh, it looks
Yeah.
like Monopoly.
Yeah. It's definitely Monopoly, I can tell you that.
You and your Monopoly.
I
Well,
love
classic
Monopoly,
Game
but
Room
no one ever
Productions.
wants to play it. Just so sad.
Didn't they release a new version of it on Switch recently?
I sure hope so.
Ubisoft has the Monopoly license now, and
They have a monopoly on Monopoly.
unfortunately,
I don't see any Nintendo.
I wish they'd make an actual
things.
good Monopoly game. Well, okay, actually, correction. The Monopoly game is good. It just needs to be better. It has a terrible UI, and the online connection sucks.
you know, I on PlayStation it was one of the free games if you have premium. This was maybe 6 months ago, right? And I downloaded the game, and the amount of stuff you have to go through. I'm talking like I have to accept this user agreement and this agreement, and I got to read through this early. I'm like, are you serious? And it like I know you have to do that with some games, okay?
Mhm.
But the extent for this game was greater than those games, right? And I was just like, is this for real? And I'm almost positive that there's a ton of microtransactions in that game. It's like it's kind of funny because it's Monopoly. You know, like of course you're gonna throw microtransactions on that.
Mhm.
So what I can buy a house now, throw
Yeah,
it on one of my proproperties.
real
I
money.
use some real money.
Pay to win, baby.
Dirty
It would make the
move,
game
man.
more interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm just thinking right now, like, listen, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I hate Monopoly. I hate it.
Why?
That's a good
Is
thing.
it
it's
'cause
not
you
that-
suck?
No, I don't suck. I would say I'm pretty above average when it comes to board games, but I just don't like how much luck is involved, I guess.
Oh, there's a lot of strategy involved, though.
I mean, yeah, there's bartering, and
Not even the bartering. Just there's a lot.
I mean, I get it, right? I'm not saying there isn't any strategy, but I just prefer games that have a little bit more of a strategy. There's always luck based in all these games. Let's be real, right? Like there's always luck, right?
Always.
And having luck is important because it gives everyone a chance, right?
Do you
And I get that, but I just like it when I feel like there's a little bit more control, personally. So whenever I'm playing board games with my family, which is actually pretty often, right? We'll play several board games a month. 10,000 of those in the chat. Learn to shoot dice. Yeah, you're right. Although I will say, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Parcheesi, right? But whenever I go to Colombia, play Parcheesi with my family over there, they like, I don't know what it is. They like use brujeria. Like they'll call the dice rolls and be like, oh, I'm gonna get a 6 and a 5, like exactly. And I'm just like, are your dice loaded or what? Like I don't know. Like it's crazy. They use like I don't know what it is, man. It is weird. But anyways, why did I start talking smack about? I mean, I remember now. All right, so if you like Monopoly, that's fine. But I'd rather play other games like Catan or there's a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyways, point I want to get at though is I was looking at the Monopoly trailer or review video, and I'm like, yeah, this looks like something I would never play. But I was listening to the audio, right, and I hear like the 8-bit sounds. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Like I like anything that's 8-bit automatically just feels nice.
It does.
I think that's just kind of interesting. Like I think there's people out there who probably didn't play games back then, and they'll probably hear that and they'll be like, okay, that sounds like garbage. But to me, it's like music to my ears. So just something interesting about 8-bit music and just how soothing it is for me.
I was gonna say that's the word I was gonna say. It's soothing, man. Like especially going back and playing so many old school games lately. It's like the music just hits so good. Always. It brings you back.
Nice.
It does. It's
Well,
magic.
Speaking of bringing back, let's go the opposite direction and go forward to our next topic, which is also about the future. Andres Restart, you're up, buddy. Hopefully, I gave you enough notes to manage this topic. I don't even think you need notes.
All right, but look, I actually looked at the thing you sent me a few hours ago, but I don't even know what we've covered.
Well, there's only
We
one.
talked about Mario. We
one
talked about
thing-
Game Freak. Okay, and the dealer's choice. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
For once, it wasn't left to me.
come on.
He's so upset, and yet it's the topic that's getting us views on the show this
Mhm.
week. He's so mad. I love it. So what happened? You were late to the show. You got stuck with the last topic, and we just happened to make that the last one.
We have to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. It's gonna be a good system, and I think we should be excited for it.
That is
All
not.
right.
Yeah.
Is it not? No, it is. It is about the Switch 2.
Yes, but
What else do you want me to say?
you even read. It's all in the notes. You can literally just read off the notes, and it would sound more exciting than what you're saying right now.
I mean, I'm intentionally trying to make it sound unexciting. That's part of the whatever I'm doing right now. But
So what he's saying is he's tired of talking Switch 2, so he'll never make another Switch 2 video again.
there's gonna be at least another one before the week is over.
As I say, he probably already got it in the works.
Maybe I gotta cross my Q's and T's or whatever. But
Well, I think
anyway,
you do any with them these days. Yeah.
I have a lead, but I need to make sure it's like worth talking about and not just nonsense.
Oh man, this might be something I don't know about. This might be
Eh,
crazy.
I'll let you know. It'll take a couple
you got
days.
some doubt.
Huh?
You got some doubt.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it yet, so I don't know.
I'm
Um,
excited. I'm actually excited, especially with something we haven't like talked about before.
We'll talk about it another time because I don't know if it's anything.
Okay,
yet.
yeah. Sorry, let's get to today's topic.
Anyway,
What is it? No, I'm just
I just don't know what you want me to say, bro. Because like,
nothing.
what-
nothing. We're talking about what the topic is today.
I don't want to read it. What you got? All right, I'll read what you put here. Current. All right, so topic. What Switch 2 leak and/or rumor thus far excites you the most? Oh, current PH Brazil March 2025 release. Multiple reports. Another portable device that can dock with a TV. Magnetic connecting Joy-Con backed by shipping data. 12 gigabytes of RAM based off shipping data. The T239 old NVIDIA leaks plus multiple reports. DLSS 4K support via Nate the Hate. An 8-inch screen via VGC. Scroll wheel shoulder buttons from 4chan and also Sakurai suggesting it. Backwards compatibility support in various reports. Mario is a launch title, according to a single source from a VGC podcast, Andy Robinson. Popular stated stuff, such as a dock as powerful as a Series S. Color button theory also could be a thing. Yeah, all right, there you go. So that's what you wrote down. So what's my most what excites me the most from the different things I've heard about Switch 2? I think what excites me the most about Switch 2 isn't even anything that was kind of alluded to in all that nonsense I just read out loud. No, it was fine for the topic. I think what excites me the most about Switch 2 is
So you make all the topics for next week, Andres. I'm signing out on the topic.
Yeah, no, you're making all the topics. I'm not doing squat. Anyway,
now you guys know his contributions to the show. No, he actually did make the template we use for the thumb. Actually, today's thumbnail is very heavily Andres because I totally jacked his thumbnail to put inside the thumbnail template he made. Anyways,
I noticed. I was like, whatever.
It's the most Andres thumbnail ever.
Anyway, so what I was gonna say, right? What excites me most about kind of like Switch 2, right? Like me actually like I'm gonna stop messing around for like 10 seconds. Is I think when we get to Switch 2, us hardcore Nintendo fans are probably gonna like Switch 2 more than Switch 1. Because I think Nintendo's overall game pipeline is going to be even better than it was during the Switch 1 era. It's actually somewhat tied to the video I put out today, where I was talking about some forgotten Nintendo IP that we didn't see through the Switch era. And we heard from Christopher Drink that Nintendo is actually in talks with more development partners that we haven't seen them partner with before to get more Nintendo games out there. And so, I'm thinking, right, like we're gonna get to the Switch 2 era, and yeah, we're gonna have our Zelda, we're gonna have our Mario, we're gonna have our Splatoon, we're gonna have our Pokemon, we're gonna have our Metroid, we're gonna have our Xenoblade, we're gonna have our Fire Emblem. But also, I think we're gonna have our Donkey Kong. I think we're gonna have our Star Fox. I think we're gonna have our F-Zero. Maybe Wave Race. Maybe they have a remake of Earthbound. Like, I think we're gonna have even more. We're gonna have even more variety to Nintendo IP, and we're also gonna have stronger third-party support than ever before. And so I just think in terms of like the wide breadth of games, it's gonna be kind of insane. And some people have kind of talked about how this jump from Switch to Switch 2 is going to feel very similar from the jump of DS to 3DS. And I kind of see that, right? Like even though DS is like the GOAT, 3DS kind of like when you look at the total library, it feels is definitely more appealing to a core Nintendo fan than even DS was. So I can kind of see how like maybe Switch 2 is going to feel very similar for us. Like, I think Nintendo's going to do a good job of hitting all the franchises that we kind of want them to hit. So that's what excites me the most. But you guys, you feel free to jump in with your own things about Switch 2 that have you with your panties in a bunch.
I'll go.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thunder Dash. We got.
There's a lot of things that are exciting based on all these rumors.
That was like 35 seconds, Nick. I did good.
Yeah, you only went 25 seconds over. It's okay.
All right.
I think there's some things here. And this is a good list. Like this is nice that you have literally all the rumors here. And like, okay, I think we all expected we're going to get a bigger screen, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be better. Yes, that's expected. So it's not my most exciting because I'm expecting it, right? But I appreciate that we're getting a bigger screen. The scroll wheel shoulder button, sure. Like that sounds interesting. I think there's two rumors that kind of had me most excited. One was the DLSS 4K support because I want to see what the wizards at Nintendo can do with this. Like if anybody can maximize technology, it's Nintendo. I think they can do something really special with this. I have confidence that they can. I think we all do. The other one that has been really fun to kind of follow ever since the rumor came out was the color button theory, because it just makes sense, dude. And we saw the color button in the color buttons in the trailer for Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door remake. And obviously that led to a lot of speculation because, this wasn't a Super Nintendo or Super Famicom game where we had, I actually just happen to have my controller right here, but, it wasn't where we had these colored buttons. So it doesn't really make a ton of sense for there to be colored buttons in this game. And then people dug in and looked at the code of the game, and they saw that there was obviously the 4K in the coding. And then there was another game, a couple other games. Andres, do you remember what they were?
There is East X Nordics, there's Fashion Dreamer, there's another random like JRPG that I can't think of. But there's even like a PS5 version of it, and it doesn't have the colored buttons, but on the Switch version it does, and it's just kind of like why.
Right. Yeah.
And I've looked
There's
at
something there.
I've looked at a lot of games over the years, and I haven't found a single example outside of the games coming in the last year where there are games that use that colored button format. And there's a reason for that, though. The reason why UI matches a console is because you want players to understand what they're pressing.
Mhm.
So to start changing that, it still matches the Switch, right? But some of these games are using that Super Famicom button format, and it's just very curious. It's only started to sprout up now.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
So that's one rumor. Like, especially. So the DLSS 4K support, that's just something I'm really excited about for that reason. But this one, I feel like there's something here, and it's really exciting because it's like breadcrumbs, and I think we've picked up on all of them, right? Because we've seen it in these different games. It doesn't make sense that they would change the color of the buttons now
Oh,
versus
dude.
in the
Dude,
past.
I don't know if you heard about it when it happened, or I actually talked about it recently again in a video this week. But Nate might know what I'm talking about. But have you heard about that 4chan post of a TSA agent that saw
Mhm.
the Switch 2?
I saw that.
Yeah. So what's crazy about it, for those, I'll kind of fill everyone
Yeah.
in, right? So this was before Sakurai put out his video about wanting the scroll wheel buttons, just so we're clear. Like, there was a patent like 8 years ago for scroll wheel buttons for Nintendo, but that was one random patent of many, right? And so it wasn't like a popular talking point amongst the Nintendo community, right? This is like a random thing, right? And then 6 months before Sakurai put out his video talking about how you want scroll wheel buttons, right? There was this post about someone who's, if you read it, like they're trying to pass it off as like, hey, I don't think this is a leak, but it's kind of interesting, right? And they basically talk about how they're a TSA agent, and by the way, apparently they provided proof. There's like, they actually provided an image of their badge, which people were able to source to an airline, right? So that part's interesting. But they talk about how they're a TSA agent, and something popped up for these couple executives that were passing through, or I guess they were our engineers, right?
Yep.
And one of the engineers asked to be taken to a private room. So they take him to a private room, and they have like this big sort of like modem looking thing. And there's also a controller that looked unfinished, but it had the typical buttons you would see for a normal controller, except the L and R buttons were scroll wheels. And that's kind of crazy. But the reason I brought it up is because later in that thread, apparently the same user also said that the face buttons were colored buttons.
Okay, so I
So-
didn't see later in the thread. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned that, because
So
this
that's just
story is
another crazy
intriguing.
thing. Like, some of these, what kind of excites me, right, is that we have these different sort of like rumor things from completely different places that like kind of line up a little bit. So that's what's kind of crazy, you know? So my crazy theory is that, yeah, the Switch 2 controller has the colored buttons, but also has scroll wheels for L and R, like this. For those who don't know, it would be
Yeah.
like this, right? So it you can still click it like an L and R button, but it also scrolls left and right, and that would be really cool for, I mean, UI manager or whatever it is, a camera movement. Like, it could do a lot. Think about like Tears. I think one of the best examples is like maybe Tears of the Kingdom, how you have that giant line of items when you're picking something. With the scroll button, it would be so much faster.
It would be. That'd be really nice. You know, another thing I think of about this too, guys, is that I think I truly believe this. That we'll probably find out years from now. But I do believe Nintendo Switch 2 was supposed to come out earlier. I really believe that. I don't have any proof for why specifically that I believe it, but I think I'm going to be right. And I think there were games that had that colored button scheme in mind for the Switch 2, and that's why it's there. I really believe that, because it was supposed to be out, and or it was supposed to be out shortly after their game launched, and that it would make sense to have the colored button scheme. And if you look at the Switch to the Switch 2, if you look at it in the same way as Nintendo to Super Nintendo, obviously the colored buttons come from Super Nintendo. And we've always talked about the idea that, would they ever call it the Super Switch? I mean, it's been discussed, and that would really carry on the Super Nintendo legacy of those colored buttons, where this all actually happened for the first time. And obviously we all know, like, we didn't get colored buttons in the US. That this is a Famicom 8-bit controller. So
We have,
and I
gotten
got
the
this
colored
one because
buttons
it's
for new
cooler.
3DS though.
Yeah, that's right. That was the first time it came, I guess, on a portable, and then we had colored buttons on the Cube.
That's true.
But still, the fact that Ease in another game had colored buttons,
Yeah.
and they don't. Ease, like I have Ease Nordics pre-ordered on PS5. I'm looking forward to that game. It doesn't have colored buttons, but it does on Switch. Why? There's just too many questions here.
It's odd. Like
It is.
Like, do on PlayStation they have the X triangle? Like, they have colors. The colors are subtle, but there are colors there, right? Like, why aren't they? They're not there.
You think about the theme park too. I mean, the name is Super Nintendo World. It would make sense to call it the Super Switch, Super
You know
Nintendo
what?
Switch. I
think
mean,
you just
God,
made
that'd be
it-
great.
and you just made an amazing point that I haven't thought about at all. Like, Super is not just like, yes, if we think about Super in terms of like the historical context, it made sense for Super Nintendo. And now I kind of feel like it's made like putting themselves against the wall. They do that now because what do you do it if they want to follow up Switch a third time? But or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you brought up a good point though. But Super goes beyond Super Nintendo. Super is just a part of Nintendo branding because you have Super Mario. Super Mario means 3D Mario for those that don't know, right? Like you have Mario Brothers, and that like if you just call it Super Mario, that's 3D Mario. It's crazy, but obviously, Super Mario before that was like the mushroom. Like it's part of Mario.
Yeah, it always has been outside of the original Mario Bros. Arcade game. Yeah, it's always been Super Mario Brothers. The Super's always been a part of it. It's a good point.
So yeah, like the idea that they could call it Super Switch, like from that context, like just thinking about how Super is just an important word in Nintendo. It's more like I didn't think about it like that. I just talked about the context of Super Nintendo. But if it's like you think about beyond that, how Super's been used for just Nintendo things in general, you know what? Okay.
Yeah, I think there's something here. It would make an awful lot of sense, wouldn't it, from a marketing standpoint?
Oh,
Great way to market Super Nintendo World, Super Switch, Super Nintendo Switch, whatever they want to call it.
But you know what? It's also like make me think about like a lot of Super Nintendo games. Like you had Super Metroid. Like I just kind of think about like that. That's just a badass name, Super Metroid. And now I'm kind of thinking, oh, like what if like they do that again? Like there are Nintendo games that are just like what if Pikmin 5 is called Super Pikmin?
That would be sick.
Dude, but can you imagine like Pikmin 4 is insane. Like what like you talked about earlier how like there are certain games that like certain times Nintendo can just push hardware. And I think you look at Pikmin 4 and you're like, holy crap, how's this a Switch game, right? But imagine what they could do on Switch 2, which is going to be leaps and bounds more powerful. Like Pikmin 5 is going to blow our minds. It's probably going to take like 3 or 4 years, but when we finally see it, that'll be Super Pikmin.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be really interesting. Like the whole Super line for Super Nintendo. Like if you go on Google and you just say, get a list of all the Super Nintendo games, give me the whole list, and you see all the games that start with Super. So many of them are legit Super. Like they're really good games. The games that had Super in it meant something. Like Super Castlevania 4. Right off top of my head, like that was a great game. That meant something back then.
We don't get Mario Kart 10. We get Super Mario Kart
2.
When's the last time
Because there
Nintendo
was already a
used
Super
Super?
Mario Kart.
Oh, you're right. And then they can start the number over again.
Exactly. Super Mario Kart.
And then it's just Super Mario Kart 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But here's something that would totally blow my mind. This is not the case, right? I know this is not what it is, but what if it's not called Super Switch? It's called Nintendo Switch Beyond. And Metroid Prime 4 is the first game that uses Beyond.
You just
But it would work though. Nintendo Switch Beyond would definitely feel next gen. That's a next gen sounding name.
I don't know who you are anymore.
I'm gonna be so real. It sounds worse than whatever Xbox
Is this
has
not in
going
character?
on.
Am I not in character?
You are perfectly yourself.
What if Nintendo had upgraded games, like upgraded Switch games, and the games that are upgraded, for instance, like Paper Mario, right? It in the source code it has the 4K. What if they called it, Super Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, and it runs in
Or
4K at 60 frames?
or they just call it Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door Beyond. That's the enhanced version.
Jeez.
You got to get that Beyond update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Super
Beyond.
Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Beyond. Super and Beyond together.
You and the
Super
Beyond.
Beyond.
Super Nintendo Switch Beyond.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah,
Right off the tongue. Just
yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's still gonna call it Switch 2.
everyone called it the
Yeah.
Super, right? Guys growing up, the Super Nintendo, you called it the Super.
Really?
You called it the Super. You didn't call it the Super NES. You don't take time to say that. You didn't call it Super Nintendo. You either called it the Super or SNES.
SNES, I remember that.
SNES or Super. Yeah, just
Yeah.
Super.
I was born in the 90s. I'm a 91 baby, so like by the time I was walking around and talking, we were already getting into the N64 era.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I'll sometimes share these old stories that come from the old relics over here.
old relics.
from a time
Yeah, all right.
long, long ago.
Back in my day.
Really back in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from the early 2000s, so I have no correlation to the SNES.
What?
I did
Wait.
play a couple SNES games though.
What year were you born?
2002.
Nice.
So, but I didn't actually start playing anything until the Wii.
Makes sense.
The Wii was my first. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was my first video
remember you
game I
saying
remember
that.
playing.
Yeah.
I just got to point something out. Nate, can you highlight Joycey J's most recent comment? I think it really, once you just read it, you're like, yep, it makes perfect sense.
F-Zero Beyond.
Think about it. It feels that feels like a new F-Zero game
But why would they name it the same as Metroid?
Yeah. it does-
because it's Nintendo Switch Beyond.
No.
Oh my! Stop! Just stop.
Going back to the original topic, the thing I'm most excited for about Nintendo Switch 2 is more third-party games that I haven't been able to play, like Elden Ring. Maybe if PlayStation wants to be nice and play ball, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Persona 3 Reload would be great. Persona 6, whenever that game eventually comes out. Like all these games, like I've said it before,
Elder Scrolls.
I would have finished Persona 3 Reload a long time ago if I had it on my Switch and I could take it with me. But because it's on my PS4 and I have to sit down and like actually play it, there's nothing wrong with that. I just, as a Switch gamer mainly, I got really attached to taking my games with me and being able to play them on the go. And that made it really nice. So I'm looking forward to getting more games because the power has thus gone up, which means we will get better games. Maybe they'll finally finish porting Genshin Impact. That's what the developers said, is they needed more power. Now they have more power. So finish that game. Let me take that game on the go. Like,
This is so much like Super Nintendo marketing back in the day. And you would, Nick, you wouldn't know because you weren't born yet. So to no fault of yours. So back in the day, the marketing was great, but it would say, at the end, now you're playing with power, super power. That's how the commercials would end.
Mhm.
Like, now you're playing with power. And it was awesome. Like you got excited because it's like, dude, we have all this power now. We can do all these things we couldn't do before. It's like, this really just sounds like what we're going to be getting with Switch 2. It really does, because all these games that we couldn't get that you were mentioning, Nick, because all those games I want to play too on the Switch, because they will get more game time because I can play them in more places. I can play them outside of just, my office or sitting on the couch. I can play them anywhere. And I appreciate being able to do that with the Switch, of course. But to have all that power now portably and be able to play these huge AAA games, because I think all those games you named, I think are coming to Switch too. They'd be crazy not to. They'd be turning down money.
I
It's
feel
free
like
money.
let me ask you guys this question, right? Because there are certain games, like Beth, probably the best example, at least for that's relevant to me, Sparking Zero, Budokai Tenkaichi 4, the next Dragon Ball game, right? Like I'm really hyped for this game, but I feel like it's a game that could definitely come to Switch 2 and probably early on. But obviously, Switch 2 is not going to be available until early next year at best at this point, right? I think that's the date. We don't know for a fact yet, but I think March 2025 is the date. But even if that holds, Sparking Zero comes out this October. I kind of want to know if Switch 2 is coming March and maybe see some of those third-party games confirmed for the console before I enter the holidays, maybe buying some of these third-party games, because I might want to wait to buy it on Switch 2. Like, I would love to have Sparking Zero on Switch 2, but if it's not coming out until, longer, like, I'll probably just get them for my PlayStation.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because I personally as well would like to know what some of those big third-party titles are going to be that are going to make it to Switch 2. Because maybe I buy a game that I wouldn't have bought that's just going to sit in my backlog, right? Where I don't have to buy it. I just wait for it to come out and Switch 2. There's certain, like, for instance, Visions of Mana. I'd like to know if that's coming out on Switch 2. I'd like to think actually that it is, but how soon? Is it going to be a launch title? Or is it going to be a year later? There are a lot of games that I would prefer to skip that are coming out.
Yeah. But I guess the other thing is that, like, while that benefits us, we think about it from the perspective of the third parties. Maybe they would want to kind of encourage us to double dip,
They would.
Now, the thing is, I won't. I'm only going to buy Sparking. I'm not going to buy Sparking Zero twice unless it's like for like $10 or something. Technically, I actually did do that for Dragon Ball Fighters. I did buy Dragon Ball Fighters twice. I initially bought it for my PlayStation, but then years later, with all the DLC, it was vastly discounted on the Switch eShop. So I was like, hey, all right, I'll buy it again. And this time I get all the DLC. So I did that, but years later at a very greatly reduced price, right? Like I'm willing to buy Sparking Zero $70, but I want to, I'm not going to buy it for $70 twice.
No, not twice.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And we don't know what the Switch 2 obviously game pricing is going to be, but I'm mentally prepared for that number you just said, 70. I don't know.
I'm
could be-
expecting $70 games for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should probably be expected at this point. Someone in chat brought up a good point, and I just want to mention this only because I did think about this maybe a week ago, and I saw a video on YouTube. Someone brought up the point. This guy, Johnny Hernandez, said, maybe Nintendo is waiting on Sony to announce the PS5 Pro in September. That's heavily rumored to be announced. And obviously, you probably want to space that out a bit. Obviously, they're rivals, but it does the industry no good, I think, for the PS5 Pro and the Switch 2 to be announced right next to each other. And I do wonder if there's any strategy at all there.
I mean, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I just don't think the PS5 Pro matters.
I don't think you're in the minority.
Say,
they haven't given us a reason yet.
People are still looking for reasons to dust off their PS5s. And I'm not trying to be insulting. This is like PlayStation fans saying this.
I like my PS5.
But
that I can already play my games in 4K. You tell me I can play my games in 4K again?
4K and a little bit faster.
I mean, I get it. I get it. It's gonna be better, but I just feel like, listen, if you care that much about fidelity and performance, you probably are a PC gamer. Like, I'm not saying there isn't a market for PS5 Pro. All I'm saying is, how much of a market is there really?
No, you're right
for
to say
that.
that.
And
'cause
so
I've
with
seen-
that in mind, while the PS5 Pro, I'm sure maybe Nintendo doesn't want to have to announce the Switch 2 in the same week. Just have a hard time figuring that the PS5 Pro should even be considered like a competitive threat by any stretch of the imagination. Because it's not like the PS5 Pro is going to become like it's going to change the entire trajectory of like Sony sales. It's going to be a little blip for them. And
Yeah,
maybe down the road it becomes the primary PlayStation 5, but
Yeah.
that's going to take years.
So like it'll become the primary PS. Like if it comes out this holiday, it'll be the primary PS5. Like the number one selling system for them probably by summer of next year. Number one selling over the holidays probably as well. But
You mean pacing, right? It's not going to catch up to
well, no,
like,
yeah, I'm talking about like how many are selling like
Month
there'll be
to
more-
month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
month to month. There'll be more
Yeah.
selling, just like
Sure.
OLED,
right.
Yeah. But I think that I'm not. I don't know that either of the companies would be worried about these things being announced, even if they were announced like in the same month, because they're targeting different audiences. And they're not releasing at the same time, unless PS5 Pro is coming out in March. They're not even coming out at the same time. So like the marketing cycles would be entirely different, even if they got revealed around the same time. Because here's what's going to happen: if Nintendo reveals Switch 2 this year, and that's still if, we don't even know if they will, but if they reveal it this year, it's not like they're starting the full marketing campaign this year. It would just be, hey, here's this cool thing. It's coming next year. Please be excited. Now let's get back to marketing all our holiday shit. Because that's what Nintendo's going to do. It's going to be a tease, a reveal, and then we're going silent for a few months.
You know what's crazy, man? Like it just dawned on me that we'll probably, I think we'll get the teaser this year, right?
Yeah.
But even if we do, we're still not gonna know when it's coming out because they're not gonna tell us.
Yeah, unless
I mean, they might put a year on it.
yeah, well, they'll
Oh yeah, they could do that,
probably say
but like
2025. I do wonder if they're going to be specific because they told us March 2017, like way before the January event. Like we knew about it in 2017.
did we?
Yeah, they put it even before they revealed the system. Even before they revealed the system, they said it's coming out March 2017. So
Maybe we learned that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like they're not going to give us the exact day, but I mean, literally, if it is coming out in March, they could say it's coming in March. They may not, because maybe they worry about it affecting holiday sales, but I don't think they're really worried about that at this point. They got a pretty good lineup, price drops. They could take care of holiday.
This is the DS. This is a 3DS lineup just 7 years later.
Yeah, basically. So
It is.
I think Nintendo is in a very good spot here where the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to do what it does. At this point, I don't think Nintendo can concern themselves with anything PlayStation's doing because what they're doing is irrelevant to what Nintendo's doing. Because here's the thing. The PlayStation 5 Pro, whenever they reveal the thing, if it even comes out, it's got to somehow prove that it is like this leap over PlayStation 5. That PlayStation 5 is having a hard time proving it is over PlayStation 4 Pro. So like that is going to be such a hard sell in terms of like, look at this game, as you were saying, in 4K. That's also in 4K already on my PS5. But it's running at like 120 FPS and stuff. That is cool. As somebody who like games on PC and a high-end PC, that is awesome. But also, when you're trying to sell it in commercials, it just looks the same, no matter which PlayStation 5 you play it on. It's not, so Nintendo, meanwhile, is going to be able to go from, hey, look at Mario Odyssey that we have on Switch, and now look at our new one on Switch 2, and it's going to look like a generational leap. So for Nintendo, I mean, I actually wonder if the reason Sony hasn't revealed the PlayStation 5 Pro is they're worried the Switch 2's revealed.
Yeah, they're reversed.
It looks like the generational leap that PlayStation 5 Pro won't.
I agree.
So, like, they might be. I can see Sony maybe a little worried, like, oh man, when Nintendo reveals Switch 2, it's all anyone's going to be talking about because it's gonna actually look like something new. But that's
I don't know. I feel like it could go both ways though, because like, think about this, right? Let's say Sony's like, you know what? Let's just play it safe and let's reveal PS5 Pro this week, like next week, right? Hypothetically, right? And then 2 weeks later, Nintendo reveals the Switch 2, and we just forget about the PS5 Pro after that. But then you go the other way, right? They reveal the Switch 2, people are super excited about it, and then they reveal PS5 Pro. Like, I don't know. I feel like I just don't think it matters really.
Well,
Basically, is my point.
It doesn't matter. Like, here's the thing: PlayStation 4 Pro, whether people looked into the numbers or not, it wasn't like a huge seller for Sony. It was just a temporary boost for a little bit to extend the life of the system. That's what the PlayStation 5 Pro is. Sony's sales are now dipping. They're past their peak. And so now this is the thing that raises those sales back up and gives them those close to peak sales for another year. And that's good. Good for them. It's a strategy that worked for them in the past. It's going to work for them this time. But the PlayStation 5 Pro isn't trying to change the game. It's just a more powerful PlayStation 5. And the whole reason, by the way, that people think it's coming this year isn't just all the rumors. There's like dev documents out there now that like games that want to be PlayStation 5 approved have to be like done by like a certain date in September.
Right.
So like there's like already like a hard deadline on games having to be ready, and if that's the case, then the thing has to be coming out this year.
Do we already know about the? I mean, I don't know how Sony works, right? Because I'm not a Sony like fanboy like I am for Nintendo. Yeah. But do we already know the total release slate for PlayStation already? I know there's the Astro game coming out. I want to say September.
That's like
it's all third party stuff.
Yeah, Astro Boy is their biggest exclusive the rest of the year.
There's no Sony exclusives.
And when does that come out? Did you say October? Or is this
September 6th.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a September game. Okay.
They'll lean into Call of Duty and everything else.
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
The third parties. You got to remember, third parties are actually like the biggest sellers usually.
So, is there any chance PS5 Pro comes out alongside the Astro game, or they maybe wait till like Call of Duty?
I don't think they'll do the Astro game. I think they'd wait for like
maybe a Call of Duty bundle is
the new Assassin's Creed and the new Call of Duty, where they can be like, hey, look at how much better.
Yeah, that's gonna have a bigger hard drive.
Can you guys think of
guarantee that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Steve. I was just thinking, like, can you guys think of any game outside of Monster Hunter where Nintendo's been like, hey, let's have like a bundle. Like Nintendo has their own bundles, right? And they've had Monster Hunter bundles. But outside of Monster Hunter, is there any third-party game where Nintendo's like, oh, let's have a bundle with our console?
Fortnite.
Things up. I just had
Does Fortnite count as a bundle?
Oh God.
Well, I mean, it's a free download, but it was a custom Switch. Yeah, they sold. They did it with Doom in Japan.
Doom in Japan, really?
Yeah, I think there was a custom system there in Japan.
Okay. They had a Disney one.
Yeah, they had a Disney for what game was that?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I remember seeing it in the beat 'em ups video.
Like a puzzle game. But I think that was Japan exclusive. Japan.
I feel like all of these are like little things, though. They don't seem like big deal bundles.
Well, I mean, Nintendo's always going to push their bundles over everyone else, anyways.
Well, the Monster Hunter bundle I felt like was kind of a big deal, but maybe I was just.
Well, it was, but that's because Monster Hunter was exclusive at the time. Was a timed exclusive.
Did it come with the game, or was it just a console?
I don't think it came with the game. I think it was just the.
Because I don't think they've done a bundle that came with a game.
They do custom systems. They bundle at the holidays, but that's a different thing.
And these custom Switches are, I would argue, very similar to the Switch Pro to the PS5 Pro thing, right? It's just like we're putting out these different versions of your hardware just to get more people to buy.
I would argue that it's actually more similar to what Nintendo was already doing with 3DS and all the custom 3D.
I mean, it is. I'm just trying to, like, going back to your point from earlier, like, just to put more into perspective the PS5 Pro, it's just a way for Sony to kind of improve their financials, give people more options, and just entice.
That's what the Switch OLED is. It's
I mean,
a way to boost sales. I mean, any mid-gen refresh is like that, and our mid-gen refresh wasn't more powerful. It was just quality of life. But yeah, look, the Switch 2 is in a very, I think in a very good place. One, Nintendo's got a good lineup for the rest of the year, solid enough. Mario Party Jamboree is going to be a big seller. It's literally on all of my children's wish list right now. And Santa might be popping off 3 copies this holiday. We'll see. It's funny because we just play it together, so I don't know why they each need a copy. But hey, it's on their list. It's interesting. Looking at the Switch 2, because I think it's really perfectly positioned so long as Nintendo isn't waiting till the end of 2025 to release the thing. If they're releasing it from June or earlier, next year, I think Nintendo is set up just right. They have everything going no matter when they announce it. Let's say they don't announce it this year. We know it's being announced before March or by the end of March. Like that, Nintendo's already threw that into the ether. We will have news on the Nintendo Switch successor before the end of this fiscal year. Okay. But I find fascinating when I'm looking at all the rumors, man. Like, I'm always about like gameplay possibilities because we're always like, well, Nintendo likes to make alterations to the controllers a lot to add new gameplay possibilities. And that's why I go to that silly TSA 4chan rumor with the dang scroll wheels and Sakurai admitting that he's been telling people or telling Nintendo for years that he wants scroll wheels on his shoulder buttons, not the triggers, but the RBRL. And so I look at that and I go, well, you know what? That actually is one of the most exciting rumors that are out there. And it's one of the ones that has kind of the least amount of backing per se. It's just, hey, it's a person on 4chan who proved they were a TSA agent or whatever. Okay, so it could be made up. And then you throw Sakurai, and Sakurai isn't a rumor. Sakurai just said in his video series that he told Nintendo several times, dating back to the GameCube, that he wants scroll wheels. But I like it because I always imagine the gameplay possibilities with it. Like even just as a Zelda guy, let's say they have the quick select inventory. You know how quick that's going to be to go if I got a little scroll wheel? I got a little scroll wheel to scroll through my inventory. And that's just inventory management in any game, being able to just scroll through it. Think about if you're a PC gamer, how useful your mouse wheel is. Now you got two of them. I think it could be, and obviously you can still click it in and use like a normal button. That won't be a problem. So that to me is the most exciting of all the rumors and all the possibilities because it offers new gameplay, new convenience aspects that could be put into games, but would technically be optional. You can still just play games like you always did. It's not taking anything away. It's giving an additional option. It's kind of like they threw the IR camera on. You don't have to use it, but it would make a whole lot of sense if their scroll wheels are there and you could, do a simple navigation tweak improvement that you would do that. So like that's what I'm most excited about with the potential of any of these rumors. And I think Switch 2 is just, it's destined to blow up, man. Regardless of what Nintendo.
I hope not.
Well,
that'd be a huge issue.
That literally explode. Yeah, we go from
that's my favorite.
That's my favorite explosion
rumor.
Oh, also, there's a lot of rumors the Joy-Cons or whatever the controllers are going to be a little bit bigger, which for my monster hands makes me feel happy. I think that's just a given with the system being bigger that
would be great actually, because the Joy-Cons are far too small.
They don't need to be so large that it's uncomfortable for like little kids, but the little kids can hold bigger than.
So I don't know if you picked up on this, but I made this point in my video from a couple of days ago when I was talking about the controller stuff. So when you watch Sakurai's video about the scroll wheel buttons,
yeah,
and he talks about one of the reasons why it hasn't happened, and he mentions how there's a size issue with the Joy-Cons being bigger, might actually facilitate there being scroll wheel buttons.
Yeah.
So it's worthy of note. Although if we're talking about Joy-Cons, they're already smaller. Like if the scroll wheel buttons are already too big of a thing to implement into a normal size controller, like even if the Joy-Cons are bigger, they're probably still smaller than a normal size controller. So it might still not be feasible, but it's interesting to consider.
All they have to do is add a little thickness. It's not even like anything else. Like I'm looking at the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel
on your
mouse would fit inside a Joy-Con today.
Feels like it, right?
You would just need to add a little thickness so you can push down the trigger button a little bit.
Well, the other thing is I would assume it's not exactly the same, right? I feel like it'd probably be a little bit wider. The button.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be as wide as this. That's a pretty wide scroll wheel.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about it like from this perspective, right? Like assuming it's going to be horizontal, right? It's not going to be vertical.
Yeah.
I would assume that it's not. I would assume it's not like that long. I would assume it's like longer like that.
Maybe.
Like to fit the proper, basically to match the long side of how the shoulder buttons are now. It just scrolls.
I don't know.
But you see what I mean, though, right?
Well, yeah,
Like,
no, I see what you mean.
they could make it smaller, but I don't think they're gonna make it we're assuming there's a scroll wheel button. We don't know that, right?
No,
There's
no,
just
no,
some
by the way,
solid
I wasn't
rumors
assuming there was. It was just that's the thing that excites
under
me.
this hypothetical.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It excites me the most because it offers new gameplay possibilities with taking nothing away. It's not
Yeah.
eliminating anything.
Yeah, that is another cool part about it. But what will blow my mind is if they introduce scroll wheel buttons, but don't give us analog triggers.
And now, technically, there's
Yeah.
other ways they could do it. It doesn't have to be like a mechanical scroll wheel. You could argue that it's like a little haptic feedback touch pad on it that you can just go back and forth on. I don't like that idea. I prefer mechanical. It's why, like, when you have scroll wheels that won't let you do the click part, I hate that. The ones that won't even let you turn that on. I like the mechanical feel because it feels like I have more precise control over what I'm doing. But I do know that there are devices out there that do that little bar thing for scrolling and have some haptic feedback, and it's okay. I also think that that's just like too expensive, and Nintendo wouldn't even consider something like that compared to a scroll wheel. But anyways, that's obviously there's no guarantee any of that's happening. The biggest things we have evidence for, guys, are things that are in the shipping data, like, hey, 12 gigabytes of RAM, or hey, there actually is magnets in the Joy-Cons and on the system. So clearly there's some sort of magnet rail system going on. That's cool. Also probably means your current Joy-Con aren't
We
compatible.
had the MOBA pad leak, right? Which I guess corroborates the Vandal report.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the magnetic controller stuff.
Yeah.
And the bigger Joy-Con stuff,
Yeah.
which is cool.
And then it's really awesome that like the shipping data comes and it just says, yeah, that's there's magnets in the damn system and in the controllers. Oh. Okay.
Which also fuels the whole conversation around the Joy-Con charging stand that was just announced.
Yeah.
Where, like, yes, that's for Jamboree, but is there a secondary effect of having those out there to make it easier for people to,
especially since there's already a charging thing available for Joy-Con that Nintendo officially sells. You just can't put your NES controllers in it. Now, why would you need to put your NES controllers in a charging stand when you have a Switch? You can just charge them on your Switch. Oh, maybe because they're not compatible with the new rails on the new system. And NSO is still there. Still got to charge those controllers. Just throwing that out there. Like, yeah, they might release new. I assume they would release new versions of them that are compatible with the new rail system. But people have those old ones. They're going to be pretty pissed if, like, hey, I sold my Switch and now I can't charge them.
I guess the other thing is how many people have the NES controllers? Like, that's
millions.
How, like, did we have
that have
number?
what?
I believe that there's been at least 2 million that have sold.
That's a sizable amount.
Because you got to remember, some people got both because they wanted the Japan one and the ones here.
No.
You got to remember, Japan's
Yeah.
nuts. The Japan,
here.
Japan is nuts for Switch.
That is so beautiful.
It is so sick.
And they're constantly sold out in Japan all the time. They can't even
All
keep
right.
stock.
Maybe
That's why I got them.
Maybe I haven't sleeping on them.
So that's why I'm like, I think
I literally have a bed of them in my
it's
room.
not, obviously you consider 142 million Switches. That's not that much, but you consider, hey, for a one-off controller, that's really only. I mean, you actually can use them outside of NSO and select indie games, but
I'm using my 8BitDo NES 30 controller for the Nintendo World Championship.
it's probably the best way to play it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I have it plugged into the Switch. I'm not doing Bluetooth. I want 0 input lag if I'm trying to get S tier in Nintendo World Championship.
Did you see the controversy in there with the Donkey Kong game? It's allowing glitch runs to be recorded officially. While other games that you do glitches in, it stops you.
Yeah, I saw John Briggs
Yeah.
on YouTube. I saw his video and it was pretty funny. I was like, oh, interesting. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna patch that. But
Because like,
probably not.
A lot of the other games, you try the glitches, the game stops you and doesn't. It rewinds you and doesn't let you actually submit that run as a run on the boards. But for some reason in DK, they did not do anything about the ladder glitch.
Interesting.
So the number one run in the world, literally, they just did the little back and forth ladder glitch and they just go straight to the top.
Do you think it's gonna get patched?
I mean, the fact that they clearly don't want the glitch run, like it'd be one thing if they never took out any of the glitches, But they did. They literally have things built in for a lot of the games where they're stopping you mid run and rewinding you back. So it's like, well, damn, they missed this one. I don't know how you missed it. This is a very well known, very popular glitch in Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Like how you missed it. So I feel like there's got to be a patch coming because like I can't imagine that. It feels good that, hey, my kid gets on to play, and then you go and you find out the number one run in the world did something that I don't know how to do because there's no ladder there, Dad.
Yeah, they're gonna think it's impossible,
Yeah.
and that they'll never be able to get that, which is true. You can't if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
I just missed Nintendo Land.
Dude, Nintendo Land, come back. Baby, come back to me.
It got me
Honestly-
thinking about the Donkey Kong minigame in Nintendo
Pack
Land.
it in with Switch 2. I don't even care. It doesn't have to be the selling
Switch
point.
2 would sell a gazillion copies if they included Nintendo Land.
Dude, drop
Oh,
Nintendo Land,
gosh.
include it with Switch 2, gives you an excuse to make a Nintendo Land 2.
Call it Nintendo World, or call it Super Nintendo Land, or
Even
better
if you
yet,
want to.
Nintendo
Nope.
Land
Or
Beyond.
How'd I know it was coming?
And you can even add more games to it now after everything.
How'd you
was-
know? Because you're thinking Beyond.
I'm a
Add
genius.
Add a Splatoon
Right, yeah.
Land.
Beyond.
Splatoon
levels of
Beyond.
IQ.
Put a Splatoon
Yeah.
Land in there now. Expand it.
Yeah.
Dude, you can do some
Yeah.
good stuff, man.
Animal
Earthbound
Crossing
Beyond.
Beyond.
Don't even get people going with Earthbound. You and the Beyond. I'm not beyond taking this phone, shining it up real nice, turning it. Never mind. We're not going to go there. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to add on the Switch 2 stuff?
I'm just happy that it appears to be quite powerful, and as
Powerful
we've
enough
talked
to
about, a
people
huge
know that.
step up
Yeah.
from the Switch. Like we know Nintendo's gonna do some special stuff with their wizardry, so
I keep going back to that Tom Henderson saying that like by September of next year. And I realized that was under the impression the Switch was coming out. Switch 2 was coming out this year. But like he is one of the most well-known insiders out there, one of the most reliable people, runs insider gaming, has like so many of his reports hit. It's insane. He's like 99%. It's
true.
insane. And the guy is saying like everything's basically like coming to Switch 2, like all the third-party games essentially. And it's like Jesus.
You know, we keep saying it. Why wouldn't these games come to it? It's seriously it'll print money for you. Like it's easy money, and use that money to work on other games.
Especially if they work, especially like, okay, so obviously like new games in the future, you know, they come day and date with everything else. But like when you're bringing the games from say like the past year over, or like Visions of Mana and stuff, you can work with Nintendo for a nice little exclusive launch window where they're not dropping one of their big ones, and you're filling in that little gap there and getting people hyped. Visions of Mana, I guarantee, will have its own little launch window that won't be on top of another Nintendo game. Monster Hunter, if that's got to come a little bit
Yeah.
later, I assume that will be given its own.
What
Hell,
if that comes out April?
Final Fantasy VII remake.
that's the thing.
I
It's a
expect that.
2025 game, so like there's a potential that Switch 2 might be out, so it could be a day and date, which would be huge if it could be day and date. But,
Dude. I mean,
but
imagine
that's
the Mario Kart Monster Hunter combo.
PH Brazil. If you've ever been right on anything, March. Be right about
When
March.
was the last time you
Please.
said that though?
I don't know if I can wait much longer than March.
He doubled down on it last month. He just said all my sources are still saying March.
Still
he did?
saying March, or last he heard it was still March.
No, still saying.
That's good to hear.
But you got to remember, like, still saying March is how many months away? Like,
Still a
hasn't
while
been
ago.
revealed
Still
yet.
a while from now.
Yeah, like we can get to November, and it's like, yeah, Nintendo hasn't announced it yet. They already pushed it.
I would say we don't get anything by November. That we should
No,
we should
I will say
Yeah.
we have spent a lot of time saying in the past, like last year, a lot of time saying, oh, Nintendo doesn't, this could be different. They don't need a lot of time from like reveal to launch.
but
You could do a
January to
March.
March is ridiculous.
But would still work.
Because you're also talking about like even mid-January to early March, or even
Right, yeah,
mid-March. It's not that long.
But yeah, I don't know if you need that long. And the whole reason I bring that up is that's the way the rest of the world works. They announce it today, it's available next week.
Yeah.
That happens with tech all the time. Phones.
Remember what was it? The Sega
Graphics
Saturn
card.
that worked out well.
Okay, well, the Sega. Okay, now there's a lot of reasons that didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean the Genesis was good.
You know,
Hey, the Dreamcast was good too.
I'm intentionally cherry picking. I know. I'm
The
just
Dreamcast, dude, I feel bad for the Dreamcast. It sold
the
almost
Dreamcast was dead before Arrival.
It sold 9 mil in the first year, which is awesome. And
Right.
then, but it didn't matter because Sega was already
Yeah.
doomed hardware wise before it came out because they were so in
Yeah.
debt.
It's
From
like why did they even try if they were doing
Dude,
well and
it sucks 'cause it was a hit. It was a hit that was taken off.
I guess it just wasn't big
Uh-huh.
enough of a hit.
I had it day one.
No, it wasn't that it wasn't a big enough a hit. It didn't matter. They were so in debt. They rushed out 3 separate different pieces of hardware. They all failed and bombed and put them in huge debt.
Yeah.
Dreamcast ended up actually being successful, but it didn't matter because it would have had to sell like 50 million in the first year for that to be
Right.
like,
So, but the thing is, if they knew that, why did they do it?
because they already had it made.
So they put it out there knowing it wasn't going to have a full cycle.
Here's the thing: they should have launched nothing between Genesis and Dreamcast and just kept supporting Genesis. That's what they should have done in hindsight, but that's not what they did.
No,
Well-
what they should have done is just not like release 17 different peripherals or side versions of Genesis.
Well, they released a bunch of add-ons and stuff. What I'm saying is to get rid of all of that. It's like jumping from the SNES to the GameCube.
They should have waited. They should have probably not. I mean, yeah, it's basically they should have stuck with the Genesis and then bided their time, made sure the Saturn was going to be good, maybe take another year, and then come out. Wait on Dreamcast until the right period of time. So
I think Dreamcast. This is obviously all opinions. I think Dreamcast was the right time. They just were.
I do too.
They just messed up.
Yeah,
I think Dreamcast. If they didn't mess up before Dreamcast, because if you actually look at the history of console sales, selling nearly 10 million in the first year is awesome.
back
That's
then.
like even like look at the Switch. Switch only sold like 3 million more than that in the first year. So like that was really good sales. That's called momentum. But they had to kill it before it could go anywhere else. I truly think if they didn't mess up before and could have stuck out the Dreamcast gen, Xbox wouldn't be here. It just wouldn't exist.
Yeah, we wouldn't have 4.
There's no way. There's no way we'd have Xbox. Xbox came around because Sega went out.
Yeah. And a lot of people went and bought an Xbox because they actually felt like this is Sega. This is my way of
Yeah, and they got a lot of Sega games on that thing early. A lot of them.
Yeah, it was the Sega CD and the Sega 32X, of course. I remember seeing the 32X at Toys R Us clearanced out.
Have you ever seen the Genesis with all
They're
the
cheap.
add-ons plugged in?
Yeah, the Tower of Power,
Oh my god.
as they call it.
What they were doing, man. They were just
Yeah,
man.
they messed up. They definitely did.
But let's get to our super chat questions we have. We round out the show here. I just want to shout out Boo Mini, who gifted a membership earlier that ended up going to Demonic Brawler. Welcome. You're the latest member of the board of directors of Nintendo Prime. We have a super chat in here from Taker610 saying, my cousins had that running pad accessory for the NES. You guys ever use that? There was an Olympic style game as well.
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking about track and field?
Oh yeah.
I
Track
still have
and
my
field?
Power Pad. Still
Oh,
works.
dude. Eric and I, man, dude, we destroyed that thing. We were,
Yes, we did.
come on, I was the king of the long jump, baby. Yeah, that was a lot of fun back in the day. I mean, guys, we're talking. You guys, if you guys remember DDR dance pads, this was like that before DDR existed, but for very specific games like track and field. Let's see here. We had a super chat in from Free Metroid Hat saying Andres lied. The thing on his mind was still Metroid Prime 4. I know I showed it earlier, but I wanted to read that one out. And Metroid Prime 4 is like always on his mind.
Breaks. I've been thinking about other things lately. I'm thinking about Pikmin.
Yeah, I was gonna say the food you ate earlier because it felt like that was a whole
Yeah.
topic today.
I mean, that was
That was your contribution
Yeah.
to the show today.
a good contribution.
Good
Taught
contribution.
you guys about Yuka.
I already forgot what it's called, and I'll never order it.
Yuka? No, that's not true. Stop putting yourself in a box.
It's not a box.
You need to expand on your horizons. You need to try different things, and you are selling yourself short here, mister. You need to enjoy the better things in life, and that does include Pollo Tropical.
Is it healthy?
It's better than McDonald's.
I mean, that's
What
a
I
really
ate was
low
actually pretty
bar.
healthy.
Pretty low bar.
What I just ate was pretty. The fried. I mean, it's fried yuca, right? So yeah, maybe you could have yuca that's not fried. First off, right? But like that, what I ate was actually like healthy food. It was rice and beans, chicken, corn, peppers, onions. Like how like that's good for you. You know.
I'm not talking about like what was on your plate.
The fried yuca.
What was on your
fried,
plate
bro?
is stuff I've had before. It's the yuca I haven't had.
You could have yuca and it not be fried. I mean, it's a vegetable thing, so it's kind of healthy. It's vegetable, I guess. Let's Google it.
All right, Andrew.
Is yuca good for you?
Yuca good for you.
Yes, yuca, also known as a cassava root, is a nutritious root vegetable that can be a healthy addition to your diet. It contains many vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, including vitamin C, potassium, choline, beta carotene,
Tell you what.
manganese.
Tell you
Deep
what.
fry it.
Tell you what. I'll eat it without deep frying it. There we go.
It's not gonna be the same, but it'll still be
Yeah,
good.
I mean, yeah.
It'll still be good.
And then Andrew Bright was just got off work. Did I miss the Ocarina of Time remake talk? The hype is real. Well, that was not a topic today, but
That game's not coming out till 2026. Don't worry, we'll talk about it again soon.
Sure. I guess you're welcome to make topics for next week, Andres.
But it's not my podcast. I'm not going to do that.
You're a host when
No.
you show up.
I mean, yeah, when I show, well, sure, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we didn't really talk about it. We talked about it on another podcast like a week or two
I
ago.
think we have a clip on the Clips channel about it,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, if you want to go check it out. We did recently talk about it either last week or the week before.
I guess it's interesting, right? Because we've been talking about a lot of Zelda lately, and spoiler, there's gonna be more Zelda videos coming soon. But
What? Did I drop one today? Whoops.
yeah. But like I think you made a video too, Nate, like about Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Not because we think it's about to be announced, but just because
No. I literally said like towards the end of Switch 2.
right, like yeah, exactly. Like we don't think it's coming out soon. We just talked about it because it's a good topic of conversation, right? Like I think most of us are all in on the Ocarina of Time remake train, but that doesn't mean it's the only thing they're gonna do down the road. But yeah, I'm committed to Ocarina of Time remake 2026 40th anniversary. Like I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I still think on terms
They
of
could show it. I think your video was what you put out today. I think was really good because while I don't think we're getting any sort of major Zelda remake next year or new Zelda anytime soon, just the thought of Nintendo showcasing something big Zelda, like 3D Zelda, makes a lot of sense just to kind of excite the Zelda fan base early on, which is why I think they're going to do a remake. So it's interesting to consider that maybe they'll show off something. I think what they're going to do, maybe they mentioned that the next Zelda is in development at some point, right? And what they show off that's like next gen looking Zelda is literally Ocarina of Time remake. But I don't think it's coming out until 2026.
Yeah, in my video today, I said I believe, and this is my opinion. This is based on like a lot of facts, other than that I looked at the last 3 Zelda games and when they were initially teased versus when they came out. And there's factors to play in there, like this Nintendo Switch, and it was supposed to be a Wii U game for Breath of the Wild and stuff. But Nintendo does tend to tease their big 3D Zelda games years ahead of time, not just one, years ahead of time. So if you think a big 3D Zelda game is coming out in 2027 and or 2028, that means there is a realistic chance they would actually tease it for the very first time next year and then literally not talk about it again for another.
Yeah, but that teaser doesn't necessarily mean gameplay.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be gameplay. It usually is, but not always. But the point I was saying is they could tease it. They could even show a smidge, like they did for when they teased the Tears of the Kingdom, or when they did the initial, snapping fingers and here's the world of Breath of the Wild for a second. That turned out wasn't even close to what the final game ended up being. They changed quite a bit between that and what came out, including the fact that no, the Guardians don't rapid fire lasers at you. That's just not a thing that happens.
They have a rapid fire.
It's not like in that thing.
And also, bridges aren't destructible.
Yeah, they don't have the destructibles,
and there's not there aren't farmers along the fields either.
Yeah.
I was that Hyrule. That's the Hyrule I want to explore still.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's I clearly did at some point in beta, but
I mean a lot of it is still there.
But there's a lot of stuff they removed or moved around.
Yeah.
Anyways, I do believe there could be even a little tease like that. 10, 30 seconds. But then here's the thing: when I said that, it wasn't like that was it. It was going to be no. This is all tied together with a Zelda section that ends up tying a movie, a tease for that game that's years off, and then he goes, but in the meantime, take a look at this, and then they drop the Ocarina of Time remake. Everyone's like, wait a second, is there 2 brand new 3D open worlds? Wait a second, no, that's Ocarina of Time. Something pops, you see the Ocarina or you see the sword pull or something. You're just like, holy shit. And that's gives you the date where that either says 2026 or if they want it to be holiday next year, I don't know. But yeah, and then there's something Zelda movie related as well, whether it's the first Zelda movie trailer or they could end up doing their own direct for the Zelda movie trailer. They did that for Mario, so that it could either be that or cast reveal. They could throw a cast reveal in there because they don't mind doing that in directs as they prove with the Mario movie. So that's what I was kind of saying for next summer. Again, I know when I initially said that thought in my mind, they could show or tease the next Zelda game next year, like the brand new one. I'm like, God, that sounds crazy. And then I looked and I'm like, no, it actually falls right in line with what they did with the last 3 Zelda games. Granted, I did note Skyward Sword was accidentally teased. They didn't actually mean to show it in 2009. That was to media only, and someone snapped a cell phone picture and leaked it out, and then they had to reveal that. That's setting that one. I mean, I included that one because technically it was 2 years ahead of time, but that was unintentional 2 years ahead of time. That being said, they couldn't be stupid. They were going to show it to media. No one would even mention it. Anyways.
Okay, so I can confirm there is the clip on the Clips channel, which is found
right
the
there.
thing.
Hey, did we hit 500 subs on that bad boy?
No, we need 10 more people. That was going to be my next thing.
10 more subs. Come on, 10 more subs to the Clips channel. Let's go,
10 more
baby.
subs to the Clips channel. We hit 500.
Yeah. My chat disclosed. What are you doing? Oh, here we go.
Fantastic.
All right, let's get to our next one here. This one came from Boo Mini. He said, are any of you not going to buy Echoes of Wisdom?
I already pre-ordered it.
Pre-ordered. It's already in. That's pre-ordered. Mario and Luigi.
Brothership.
Yeah, no doubt.
Still.
The only thing preventing me from pre-ordering it is that the Epic Mickey rebrush comes out the same week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I got to decide because I can't get both.
And Epic Mickey's actually good.
No, we don't know
Beyond
if Echoes of
good?
Wisdom isn't good.
No. What I'm saying is whatever Epic Mickey's brought up, I've always jumped to 2, but Epic Mickey 2 is not good.
Oh, yeah. I have it for the Wii U. I'm going to play it after I play the first one.
Well,
Maybe you'll think different. Maybe you'll like. I mean, I like the characters and the story, just the gameplay.
All right, but let's say you play Epic Mickey first. Are you saying you'll never go back and play?
Oh no,
Echoes of
I will
Wisdom?
definitely go back and get Echoes of
well,
Wisdom.
yeah,
You're still. The question isn't time sensitive.
Yeah,
You know,
you'll
it's
get it
just-
at launch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
just might not get it at launch. I'll definitely get it.
Zelda's my favorite franchise,
So he's not getting
but here's the problem: Zelda went woke. I'm done.
Yeah.
Not buying.
Yeah, right.
Guys, I'm gonna day one live stream the thing. Of course, I'm buying.
Yeah.
I haven't
can't wait.
pre-ordered it. I will not pre-order. But that's because I told you guys I'm not buying any new games until all the PGF prizes are shipped out of my house.
So I'm a blasphemer.
There's Zelda game coming up, which means I have a very high priority to get that shit out of my house. Yes.
I haven't bought a physical game in a few years. I just kind of been downloading all my games.
You didn't buy physical Tears of the Kingdom at all?
No, because I wanted to play it ASAP.
Yeah, so did I. I bought the digital, and then I got the collector's edition. That's physical.
Yeah, but money. So
yeah, it is money.
yeah, it is a $70 game. And also that I take advantage of the buy two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
done.
It's
Not
actually
even-
a pretty good deal because like I think I got Pikmin 4 and Tears of the Kingdom.
Save $30.
Yeah, it's
That's
$30. That's a lot. That's significant.
Game vouchers, baby.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Almost like Nintendo's pushing digital.
for that reason, I have not pre-ordered Echoes of Wisdom because I'm probably going to play it digitally. Also, that game's not going to cost too much in terms of storage space. I feel like a better question to ask is not if we're going to buy Echoes of Wisdom, but are we going to buy MEO, Famicom Detective Club?
I pre-ordered it
No.
Okay.
because I want to support them because you guys all know my reason. We got to. I feel like not, every situation is different, but I'm trying to support them because I want to get these games, these weird games. Because if they sell like crap, we're only gonna get probably mainline stuff.
I saw a random teaser like on Twitter from like one of the Nintendo's like alternative like social media sites, and like it kind of hyped me up a little bit more for MEO. Like I don't know. Like I think I'm on the fence. Like I'm kind of waiting on previews, but I think I might give it a whirl. Although
I think I'm gonna get it. I like detective stuff. I like
Yeah.
the mystery around it. I trust the people behind it.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, so like I think I'm probably gonna pick it up.
I think it's gonna be good. I just don't know if it's gonna be good for me.
Day one or not, I don't know that again. I'm waiting on making sure I get everything shipped out of my house, which I might have to wait till the end of the month, when the next big YouTube check comes around. But I have a plan that might allow me to get it. So we'll see what happens. Which means all you guys that are waiting on your PGF prizes, especially from last year, be excited. Might get a present arriving this month or next month. Next month. It's July right now. Next month. All right. Let's get to our next one here. Jorge FT said Nintendo's published / funded at least 12.5 games a year in the whole Switch's lifespan so far. How many games a year do you think they'll publish for Switch 2?
I think they'll keep it the
11.9.
same.
I think it'll be 12, so it'll be a little less.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a little less. But I think part of that is it's more so the kind of games we're going to see, I think, are going to hit harder, right? Because there's a lot of games they put out that were like, okay, pass. I think there'll be less games we're going to want to pass on the Switch 2 era compared to Switch 1 era. And obviously, people buy the games. They're playing to a wide audience, but I think that's going to play a role. Also, we should keep in mind that Switch 2 is likely to be backwards compatible. So they're going to have the entire back catalog as well. Like there's not going to be as much need to put out games on Switch 2 as there was for Switch 1. So I think it's going to be a little bit less, but still ultimately close.
Yeah, the reason I still go with 12, which is, again, we're talking like 6, 7 less games total, is one, you're not going to get a bunch of Wii U ports. Like they had a whole generation of a system that didn't sell. So they brought all those games over to the successful system so the games could sell. But besides Splatoon, because obviously they just kept it going with Splatoon 2, there's more than that. There's Xenoblade Chronicles X we still haven't gotten. Kind of disappointed on that one.
It's not coming to Switch.
It's not.
It needs to.
We
It's
might
gonna be
see it on Switch too. I don't know, but yeah, it's not coming. To
We
Switch.
still need
definitive
a
edition implies next generation improvement. Switch is basically Wii U hardware, just a little bit better. Like if you want a proper definitive edition, you need
Of that
a significant
particular
jump.
one.
Yeah.
But I would, the 12 game thing, and the reason I'm so confident it'll still be basically a game a month is Nintendo has all their output going to one system, and I just don't think they're going to look back. They were willing to bring back Famicom Detective Club. They're willing to try things like Labo, and there's going to be a lot, like even Kirby. Oh, there's a 3D Kirby. We ain't done with side-scrolling Kirby. There's going to be more side-scrolling Kirby coming. There's already a rumor out there right now floating around about side-scrolling Kirby. Most of it comes from 4chan, hence why I didn't cover it. But it's really fascinating looking at what Nintendo did this generation. I think they're just going to mostly do it all over again, except instead of it being like Wii U ports and remasters you see, it's going to be more like what we're sort of getting now, where it's like GameCube sort of remasters or remakes, where they're going to be grabbing, some Wii games, or they're going to be grabbing, old games like A Link to the Past and remastering that or something. So you're going to see a lot of them like revisiting their old library in that way, even if it's already on NSO, so they can give you that refreshed, redone version. And there's going to be a lot of new. Nintendo's going to have new IPs they're going to try out. They're going to continue doing partnerships with any company willing to do it. I don't know if Square Enix is going to be willing to do any sort of HD 2D exclusive games anymore moving forward, because they're trying to go full third party with everything on every platform.
Well, I mean, if it's a Pokemon game, they will.
Well, that's different. That's obviously different.
That'll
different.
save their company.
That's obviously different. But the point is, like, I think they'll still make partnerships with Platinum and other studios to get exclusive games or timed exclusives. So I do think that Nintendo's big thing is they are the only one of the big four, I suppose, if you include PC. And I don't even know if we count Xbox as a big anymore, but they're technically still in the market. They're big, important for the gaming. Like, they have a lot of important IP and they make a lot of money right now. They just had the revenue report. It's massive. Well, yeah, they bought Activision Blizzard. Of course it's massive. But their systems isn't selling well. 44% drop off in system sales.
Did we call Nintendo not part of the big three during the Wii U era?
Here's the thing. This is back to back. No, it's back to back. And they're putting their games on other people's platforms now. It's a little different. See, Nintendo relies on exclusives to sell their system. And we could talk about all the third-party support coming. But the system sellers and the best sellers are all Nintendo. That's probably going to continue, even with Call of Duty coming. Even if we get the next Monster Hunter, yeah, the top 10 still going to have Monster Hunter cracking.
20 million cop systems sold is still, while it is small by comparison, I still think that's enough to be considered a legitimate competitor.
I'm not discounting them as a competitor.
I know, right? You just said, I get it. You had I'm derailing your whole point.
My opinion is they're on the way out. They're on the way out, is what my opinion is. I think they're going to start focusing more on PC.
Software.
Which has a massive, bigger audience, and then software on everything. That's what I think. There's also rumors out there about them going with the PC handheld they're trying to make in the future. So, I again, there's going to be another generation of Xbox, because Phil Spencer said there's going to be. I'm just, outside of the US, they don't seem to matter much to anywhere else. Their sales are abysmal anywhere but here.
Same thing with Metroid.
Well, Metroid sales are abysmal everywhere. Just kidding. Just kidding. A few million's not abysmal for a niche franchise. But can it become
you can't
can it become
finish a sentence without throwing in some sort of subtle jab, like, oh, just kidding, it's still pretty good for a niche franchise. Like, bro,
I've had that stance about Metroid this whole time. It's not even new.
Yeah, but when we talk about Xenoblade or Fire Emblem, you're not going to throw shade then.
They're niche as well.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask.
You don't feel like pulling out a knife and shoving it up my gut when I bring up those franchises.
To treat them like they're on the level of Mario. A lot of people try to treat Metroid like it's on the level of Mario.
Well, there's a historical reason for that.
Yeah, fine, historical reason, but it's never.
There's also the quality reason.
Yes, I get that, but now you're saying Xenoblade games aren't high quality?
Well, they absolutely are. Xenoblade games are some of the best games Nintendo makes.
Yeah, Monolith Soft makes some amazing shit.
I will always buy a Xenoblade game. I won't always buy a Mario game. That's because there's a lot of them. But,
well, yeah, if you count all the spinoffs, holy shit.
I didn't buy any Mario and Sonic Olympic game, so.
Did I?
I think I had one.
I now feel like buying one though, because the series is officially dead.
Getting back to my point, I think that they will have about a game every single month, just because everything's on one system. They're making smaller games and bigger games and remakes and remasters. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think they're just going to keep it going because it worked. And it worked to the tune of their most profitable years ever. So why wouldn't they just do it again? And I think Nintendo found the winning formula for them. Now you supplement it with movies. They're now with Legos. They have theme parks. Like, Nintendo's bigger than it's ever been. And they're just going to keep going. Which is a good or bad thing, depending on how you want to look at it.
Nick, what were you going to ask?
I was just gonna ask Nate, how many copies does Xenoblade have to sell to get put in the podcast intro?
Oh, is it not in the podcast intro?
It's not, but Metroid is.
I mean,
Yeah, the podcast intro is also missing Wave Race. Like, come on, dude.
bro, what?
I'm pretty sure there's a song lyric, Blade in it because I wrote the lyrics.
It's a great song, man.
Can you play?
But I
this-
have to
the-
double
play-
check because one of the lines got cut.
Can you play the intro real quick? It's only like 30 seconds, right?
Sure.
That song gets stuck in my head after the show.
You stop by for the Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing peaches until the sun lights. Summer shoots her beam so bright. Master Hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte.
All right, yeah, it got cut. The Xenoblade line got cut. There was a Xenoblade line.
That's
Oh,
tragic.
so it's in the full version.
Yeah, the full version I wrote, but the person I hired, it made the song too long for what I was paying for. So yeah, there was Xenoblade. Sorry.
But is Fire Emblem or
First,
Pikmin
originally when you said the Xenoblade, I'm like, I'm willing to make Xenoblade the title of a podcast episode. What are we talking about?
Yo, I think
Look,
I
we
don't
did-
know. Like,
we did Switch 2 as a title today, and it didn't really increase viewers, so it's fine.
yeah,
I don't really care at this point.
I don't know. Like, I feel like
The views. I went through the past of the podcast,
Yeah.
looking at all the views. I realized something, guys. I don't know if you guys watch. Obviously, a lot of you loyal viewers will watch every episode, don't care. But I noticed that hey, when Nintendo doesn't have a lot going on, which is right now,
Mhm.
they have a lot announced, but nothing really happening with anything they've announced. People don't really tune in. The moment that they have a bunch of stuff announced, everyone wants to talk about it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
By the way, we're about to hit a period where they're about to advertise massively a bunch of stuff. So
yeah, once we get that Switch 2 trailer.
once we get the Switch 2 trailer, we're to the moon, baby. I'm gonna
Yeah.
slam the Switch 2 or whatever they call the damn thing down everyone's throats. And you might go, "What? You've seen my channel? You saw what I was doing with rumors? Wait till we have facts."
Monolith Soft, once we see their next game, I think it's gonna really pop.
It's gonna be great.
I don't know if it's gonna be a Xenoblade game, but it's gonna basically be a Xenoblade game in terms of, giant, massive, fantastical worlds with incredible music and a really cool RPG combat system. Like, that's probably going to all be there, and a fantastic story.
That is true.
Interesting.
Anyways, this is the end of the cast.
No, well, we have more super chats.
Couple more.
Oh,
We're not done yet.
Couple more.
no.
That was just a very interesting conversation. Jawbreaker says Nintendo Switch 2 could be the best system of all time if it's fully backwards compatible. And that's why I pray that it is.
And then there was another
Which he had another super chat where he asked specifically if we believe it will have full backwards compatibility.
Yes.
Yes.
It'll be a majority backwards compatibility. I don't know if it would be full, but
Explain, sir.
don't know.
Explain.
I'm hoping for full. But I know like Xbox and stuff like that, they've done like partial backwards compatibility. I don't want to necessarily guarantee full. That's more of what I am. I'm just hedging my bet.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think it's going to be fully backwards compatible, but you might have to use a Switch Joy-Con controller for certain games, like 1-2 Switch. Because there
Yeah.
might not be an IR sensor on the new.
there's already some compatibility limitations across different versions of Switch, right? Because of form factor, right? Like, you can't really play like Nintendo Labo on Switch Lite, right? You need unless you bring Joy-Cons,
Can't do Ring Fit on Switch Lite either.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So if you want to get really specific, like, there might be a few exceptions, but honestly, like, I feel like Switch 2 is going to be able to play Ring Fit Adventure. It's going to be able to play Nintendo Labo because it's still going to have a dock. It's still going to have motion control, the Joy-Con compatibility. Maybe to Nate's point, maybe the new Joy-Cons won't be compatible with Nintendo Labo, but you'll still be able to pair your old ones in some way. So there might be some minor limitations, but I feel like we're talking about like 99% compatible, which or not even 99.9. Like, I think it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. It's not like the Nintendo Switch 2. It's not like a really. I mean, if it is a really weird, different thing, I'm not against that. But that's just not what I'm expecting.
Okay. We have our next one here. Boo Mini said, name of tonight's podcast. Andres Restart Unhinged. And where in the world is Eric Moore?
I'm right here.
You know what's funny? I don't even know if I'm not unhinged. Hopefully, I'm like maybe like the door's a little loose, but like
Today
I hope I'm never unhinged on.
Today I
in
will
public.
say it felt like for a brief moment during the show today that we had almost a Jake Randall sighting coming in spirit.
What do you mean?
What do you mean Jake Randall's awesome?
No, I know, but what
rambunctious.
do you mean? I want you to elaborate.
Nah, we don't need to elaborate. If you know, you know. Apparently he doesn't know.
Well, just so we're clear, I was never mad. I was just having a good.
I never said that you were mad. No, we're not talking about in terms of the anger.
Oh,
Where was the anger?
you're talking about,
Talking about the
not-
vibes.
talking about not giving any flying flips.
Look,
Yeah, okay.
look,
There's a little bit
look.
of that.
there was a moment of bricked upness earlier. It happens.
Oh, I wasn't. What?
I just didn't say it out loud.
Bricked? Me? How?
I just thought you making.
I mean,
other
we were talking about fish.
Did you were the way you were passionately talking about that food is like watching Jake Randall passionately eat a donut.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I'm just-
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you acted like it was God's gift to mankind. So
I mean, it's. I feel bad for you for not having tried it before.
Tall Show says, which one of y'all has the deepest dab?
No. I'm not doing it.
I don't.
Eric
don't-
Eric has a dab that's already
I have an
a
emoji.
emoji.
I have an
I'll be
emoji.
back. I'm gonna fetch my kit.
I have a dad.
Okay.
You're gonna
emoji.
make the cat do it, aren't you?
cat dab.
jeez.
Yes.
I don't get very low on my dabs unless you just consider that I'm short.
I mean,
I mean, are we talking like from standing up? Because I used to, I don't want to say,
practically touch the ground.
For those that were asking in the chat, I went to get Ruby, but she's
really
curled up
deep
in the
into
ball,
no.
so I don't want to interrupt.
I
your sleep.
sure can try. I used to, but I
Next
don't
time.
now.
I was gonna say, you're the youngin on the show right now.
Yeah, I used to have an Instagram that was like Dab Lord. That
Oh,
was like
yeah,
my
then we
whole
have our answer.
persona.
Yeah.
We have our answer. You're looking at a bunch of old heads here. You got the youngin over there.
I
Dabbing
had
was never
my
cool in
my favorite sweater for years was one my mom got me. It was a hoodie with a dabbing Santa on it, and I wore it
Oh, my-
every year until it was too small, and I was heartbroken when I couldn't fit into it anymore.
That is awesome. So can we get a dab performance quick? A little remix? Come on. now.
I mean, actually gonna do
We
it.
had a member chat for it. You
Uh-oh.
don't have to. It's my
Uh-oh.
show,
Yeah.
but
Wait, hold on.
oh, you
Whoa.
got stretch
Whoa.
for it?
Whoa!
Oh,
Whoa!
definitely the deepest
That is
dab.
Deep
Holy
dab.
shit!
Holy
I almost did it wrong.
That's some TikTok dab.
We didn't pull anything.
Shit.
hot dang.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't even need that.
Nope.
There's
Bro, you dabbed the floor.
That hurt my back watching that.
I tried doing that. I'm not getting off the ground.
Right?
I'm just leave me there to die. I'm done.
Yeah, right.
I
Never
watched it back on
considered
the
a full
stream. It
body
looked like I
dab.
almost fell out of the chair.
I might. I'd probably fall over if I tried to go that deep.
Yeah.
I'd survive it. I think maybe.
I'm a little top heavy for that deepness.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Let's go around the room, let people know what we got going on, where they can find you. And we'll be back next week on August 7th, first show of August. This was a weird. We had 5 episodes in the month of July. Hell yeah. Let's start with Andres Restart, who's got, I don't even know what he's doing over there.
Me neither.
What is happening?
Hey,
I
I
mean,
got stuff coming tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Be there. There's a video. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to spoil it.
I mean, fair enough.
there's a video.
Yeah. And I got one for the next day and the next day. I got a few. I got a few cooking. So
A few.
they'll be about Nintendo stuff that I think are happening in the future. So
That you think are
Nice.
happening. Got it.
yeah, well, you'll see.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to see what you got going on. Eric,
Hi, I'm here.
next week, good to go.
I think so. At this
Mm.
point, yeah.
Awesome. I hope so.
I mean, until I get told different.
When
but
did you?
I'm supposed to go
I'm not-
places. It keeps getting pushed.
That's not
I
what I'm
don't
talking
know.
about. When did Nick with no K go beyond?
Oh yeah.
Oh, like an hour ago.
Yeah, it's been a hot
Oh,
minute.
yeah, I mean,
I
I was
waiting
laughing
to see
about
when
it earlier.
somebody noticed.
That's why
Yep.
he did such a deep dab. He was going beyond.
Yeah, I gotta go beyond the dab.
I don't even know how to change my name.
You go up like it's on the left, on your left video preview, the little three
Oh, look
three
at
button
that.
line.
Oh, look at that.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
All right. I'm Nick with no K. You can find me on YouTube and Nick with no K. I'm also on Twitter. Not right now though. I'm on a break from Twitter till Sunday because the last chapter of My Hero Academia leaked and I don't want to see anything until Sunday.
Oh my gosh, it's
So
over. I can't believe it.
I am off Twitter, but usually I'm there. I do anime nerd stuff on YouTube. I just put out a video today on my entire movie Blu-ray collection. I will also spoil there is a video game one coming in the future. So that's the next one. I got to get it done. But that's what I do. I'm around making content. That's how it do be.
All right, Thunder
You do, baby.
Dash.
So I just posted my review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate on the Nintendo Switch. Check it out. It is a really special game. It's really cool. I'm working on my review for Nintendo World Championship. And then I had a developer reach out to me and ask if I wanted to review his game. And it's coming out August 12th on Steam, and it's a Contra style game. It looks really cool. This guy's a lone developer. It's a one-man team. It looks really cool. I watched the trailer for it. That'll be coming. Like to get that review out early next week before the game launches. That's pretty much it right now.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm the host of the show, Nintendo Prime. I don't really have. I'm a news channel.
Wow.
Check the Clips channel to see
Didn't know.
the actual subs because the public is still 10 away. But
No, it's the same.
oh, okay.
It's the same.
Dang it.
Yeah, that sucks. That's life. We'll get there. I guarantee we'll be over 500 by next week. I can't guarantee shit. But it is nice that all the growth over there has pretty much been organic. It's not due to my channel. So
You're organic.
I will say, guys, that if you guys are looking for extra content, always go check the Nintenbyte Clips channel. Yeah, it's not extra from what you're seeing here because we sometimes have after show conversations. I don't really record it, so because it's all private stuff. But you can end up catching things you maybe missed during the show in the clip, maybe a topic, maybe a funny moment. Might be eventually putting up YouTube short clips over there as well of like funny moments from the show. If I ever get around to it. Right now, I'm just trying to keep up with the clips, so that's not happening. As for on my channel, the main channel, Nintendo Prime, guys, I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm a news channel, so I don't know what the news tomorrow is because we're not to tomorrow. And then if there is no news, then I have to do a discussion video. And do I know what I want to discuss tomorrow? I have no idea. I didn't go into today planning to discuss the next big 3D Zelda game. That was not my plan today. It just became my plan. What will my plan be tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe I'll just look at Andres Restart and finally watch his controller video and I'll remake it, because I'm Andres Restart 2.0. Because I did it with 2 videos of his. So now I'm 2.0.
Yeah.
It's all right. He's the OG, so that's always the original is always the best anyways. And for all the people that always say,
I would say a lot of times I get ideas from the news that you cover because you're usually better. Like you're better at covering most of the news than most other news channels.
Wow, well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm great at it.
You
but
put sources in your description.
Well, that's a big one.
That's
yeah,
It's
appreciated.
huge.
sources are like
So huge.
It's very. You guys would be shocked how many channels don't even don't put sources in. So like
It
when you're
annoys me, man.
verify and look stuff up, like you can't verify. You got to
Listen, you can't put sources for everything, right? Because like,
well, some places you can't link to.
right. But at least like the most recent important thing that you're discussing, right? Assuming it's not just an idea, right? Leave it, but a lot of people don't even do that.
Yeah. And so for those other that there was a comment I had the other day, like Andres must be mad at you. All right, Andres, want to repeat what you said like 18 podcasts ago?
Which one?
When you went on that little rant about anyone that says all I do is steal your content.
I don't remember what that mean.
It was along the lines of well, see, I can't say it because it sounds like I'm coercing you if I say it out loud.
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at you. For those who don't know, I'll say it since he said I'm not mad at you. He gave me full permission to reuse any ideas on his channel that I ever feel like. But
I said that?
Yes,
I must have been drunk. I must have been unhinged.
Yeah, you must have
been on some yucca that night.
Some yucca, that's what it was. He had some bad yucca that night.
I mean,
but
real
no.
talk, like,
Yeah.
so like, all right, let's be a little real, right?
Sure.
Let's say I have an idea.
Yeah.
Put out the idea, and obviously, my ideas are based off Nintendo. Like,
Yeah.
we're all taking ideas from different people, right? But let's say I don't know, hypothetically, I figure something out. I do that sometimes, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, right? Yep. But like, for example, a few months ago, I was like, hey, you know what, guys, I think we're probably getting a new 2D Zelda this year.
Yeah.
That time I was right, but I also thought we would get a Tomodachi Life remaster, and that hasn't been announced. So, but I guess my point is like, hey, I'll put that out, and then other people start talking about it. You'll credit me.
Oh, I always credit you.
Right. But like,
he literally said like the first minute of the video,
right.
I'm not even pretending.
But there'll be other channels, and I'm not throwing shit towards anyone, right? Because like, most of the Nintendo content creators I'm friends with, right? Like Switch Force, Nintendo Line, like I think they're all cool. But there's even channels beyond that, and they'll be bigger. They'll sometimes it's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think Nintendo Line made a video about Pikmin the other day. I had no idea. Not Pikmin, Kirby. And then I made a Kirby video I had no idea he made.
Yeah. I knew that.
Pure coincidence.
I knew that.
It happens all the time because we're all like on a similar wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because you both did it, I was already contemplating, and then you both did it, and I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah.
I guess I'll pass on that idea for now. Maybe I'll revisit it in a couple of months, but
I guess my thing is that like, I mean, once you put it out there publicly, it's out there.
Yeah.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah. Like that's the way, because I see people do it with some of my stuff sometimes too. And I just go, I don't care. Like it doesn't, as long as you're not like taking my video and re-uploading it, look, make it your own, do your thing, have your own opinions, throw your own stuff in. Dude, I'll give like a really good example. And this was something that this is just what I do. This is my general rule of thumb. If I'm going to end up reusing an idea that I know that Andres did or Nintendo Land or somebody else, I always make sure that it feels like their video has ran its course. So there was this video that we did on the Ocarina of Time remake, and this is something Andres and I have been talking about forever. Like, this isn't even for either of us. None of this information that we put in the video is news to us. We've been tracking, Nintendo and words forever.
Sometimes they make different discoveries.
Yeah, you make different discoveries. Yeah. And so this isn't saying that the videos are pointless. I'm saying that we have ongoing discussions on this stuff over the years. And he put out a video on it, and it did really, really well. And admittedly, I saw that, and I said, well, I've been thinking about this stuff we've been talking about on the podcast. I can make a video on it. But I waited because his video kept going up. It just kept going up by like 5,000, 6,000 views a day. And I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. I don't like to step on toes. I'm going to let it go. And then when it got to the point where his video was really slowing down, that's when I'm like, okay, now I feel good about putting it on. Now, I didn't think my video was going to blow up. It's got over 100,000 views. I wish it was his video. I wish our views swapped because you were the OG. But I gave credit, and I noticed after my video started blowing up, and I gave you credit 3 times in the video and linked your video, your video views started picking up a little bit. I don't know if my video had anything to do with it, but that's why you credit people, because you don't know what video is going to do bigger.
Well,
on
I
one
mean,
topic.
it's kind of one of those things where like sometimes like the way YouTube works, right? Like as I see it, right? Like I'll see the different creators, and then I'll see, like, for example, I don't watch, no, this is zero shade. It's just I just don't watch them, right? I don't watch RGT85
I
like,
knew you were going
ever,
to say RGT.
right? But I know that most of my viewers do watch RGT85 because YouTube tells me
YouTube tells us, yeah.
that, like, hey, people
Your viewers
watching
will also
RGT85 watch your videos afterwards, right? So
Yeah.
like if you click on RGT85 video, there's a chance that one of my videos would be in the recommended. So it's kind of like a lot of people think that like Nintendo content creators or video game content creators are at each other's necks, and I think there are like that. Those are the ones that are ill-informed and probably should figure some stuff out. But
Yeah.
we actually help each other out inadvertently whenever we make videos because we cause a conversation, right? And then if someone else also has a video that causes a similar conversation, it might be even somewhat of a different topic, but it's still kind of like if someone watches RGT85, I might be in the recommended, right? And then if they'll click on my video, and then Nate's video might be on the recommended, and then Nintendo Lands might be on the recommended, then Switch Forces, right? And then Spawn Wave, right? And so it's kind of like this cycle, right? So this whole notion that like Nintendo content creators or just YouTubers should be like at each other's throats.
Nah.
Anyone who thinks that way is ill-informed.
Yeah.
And probably should figure some other things out.
Yeah. This is the way I always look at it too. Like when I watch other people's stuff and I see that they had a really good idea, sometimes I just want to talk about it. That's it. I just want to talk about it. I got my own take, my own stuff I want to say. Like even with like the Twilight Princess one that him and I both did, we both had very different things that we wanted, that we emphasized anyways on ways to improve the game with a remake, from the ground up remake. So like I just kind of look at it as we're all inadvertently helping each other, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes it's directly, sometimes it's direct. Like, Andres Restart and I have literally just had conversations about future videos that we're about to release for advice or what we think on titles or thumbnails or ideas, or, hey, do you remember this one thing you talked about a long time ago? Where was that?
So, something I do, I ask Nate sometimes, I ask Brandon sometimes, because I don't want to like mislead people. It's like, hey, is this too clickbaity? Like, I don't want to do this, right? I ask people, like, so for the people that like come at me, it's like, hey, this is clickbait. I'm like, I anguished over that title for like 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes a couple of days or so,
definitely
trying to make sure that I am not manipulating or misleading people. I just want it to be like, hey, this is what it's about in an exciting way. But
if you want to know why he talks to me, guys, if I tell him, well, that's a title I'd use, then he just won't use it.
Like, all right, well, time to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, just so you're aware. Usually, but no. No, we're all borrowing from each other. Like I know for a fact, this example, this podcast alone and the old Nintenbyte Podcast, I've literally watched us do an episode. Then the next day, Andres Restart makes a video on the exact topic we talked about on the show because it inspired him to want to go and do something with it. So like that's what I'm talking about, where it doesn't even have to be on the show. You could have been watching the podcast and got inspired by it. So it's always one of those things where the only thing that I find hilarious is when you do have that one content creator somewhere that does get like really pissed off that they started talking about something and now everybody else is. Like, you don't have a right to talk about it. I'm not going to name any names about some people that are like that out there, but if you know, you know. And that's the part that I get. Like
that's the person that still has like the elementary school mentality, and also doesn't know how
doesn't
YouTube
realize
works.
how the algorithm works and how it technically all like other people talking about it, even if they don't source you, will still boost the topic, which can boost your video and recommended and stuff. Like it all goes together. Like,
I do think that if you got information from someone, you should credit them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I credit even the idea. Like you could, from your, like, hey, I like some of the interviews and stuff that you had for the Ocarina of Time one. Dude, I had links and bookmarks to a lot of that stuff, but there was a couple I didn't. And I just sat there and I'm like, dude, why would I not credit the person who gave me the plus go to his channel, go to like the number one source when you go around there. There's all the links, but here's his video. I literally say video idea from. So like, but I'm very like willing to do that for anyone, not just Andres, he's my friend, but literally anyone. Like I've done it for Nintendo Land. There was an RGT video once that inspired me. I gave him credit. Like I've always believed in sharing the credit around because in the end, I feel like regardless if you like each other or not, we're a community. We're all on the same platform. We all have similar goals and wanting to be successful in our own ways, whatever that ends up meaning. So, and I realize that I'm fortunate enough that I do this for a living. So why not spread the love in case my video does happen to be the one that blows up and gets 100,000 views? I want to make sure people know that, hey, this wasn't necessarily an original idea by me. I might have some original thoughts. Make sure you go check out the person who actually started the conversation. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. That's why I have no idea what tomorrow's going to be because it'll either be news or it'll be me being inspired by somebody else. What I can say is I don't do reviews. So when Thunderstash drops a review, I'm often not like, man, I should now review that game. I just go, damn, I want to play it. But I've been retweeting this stuff. You guys need to check out Thunderstash Gaming. Maybe I'll throw you in the community section a little bit too. Co-host of the show, comes up with the topics half the time. Big part of the Nintendo Prime, Nintenbyte Podcast family for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Nick with no K. Just busy over there showing off his Blu-ray collection. You know, his latest drop.
I tried.
He's got more to come.
Deepest of dabs.
And his camera's gonna die.
That's the problem. See, if you started doing deep dabs to start every episode,
I might have to do it every time I'm on now.
There you go.
Oh, jeez. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you same time next week.
Good night, everybody.